Lamborghini, the real race, is back with another exciting weekend on the track. We already had the EMEA region, we already did APAC, so it is time for NALA, which means we're heading over to North America and in general, America, kinda. That's our thing. And brand new tracks, 2 of them in total. Once again, big thanks, obviously, to the guys over at Simulazione and Assetto Corsa Competizione, because that's what we're using for today's race as well. You should not be new to that by now. But if you are new, no worries. We will go through everything that you need to know about Lamborghini, the real race. We start with the first, base knowledge. My name is Renee, and obviously, I'm not alone in front of camera because I got Lee Smith with me here in the commentary booth, covering all the racing action live from today's evening. Lee, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very warm, but I'm very good. I'm ready for another 2, I say 2 races. It's 4 races. Technically, isn't it? 2 sprints, 2 main races, lots of racing action tonight.
Yeah, weather might be warm, but racing action will be hot. I can definitely promise that much, at least, tonight with the tracks that we have. Talk about those tracks. Let's maybe start with a little flyover for the first one. It's so warm, already losing my words. For the first track that we will join in today in California, that is obviously Laguna Seca Raceway. I mean, there's just one track that looks like this.
Yeah, and obviously with Laguna comes the telltale corkscrew, right? That's the big corner where things can go very wrong for you. You can see as it goes up and then comes around the corner, up the hill into the legendary corkscrew. That's where things can go really wrong for you, or really right. You know, some people can take it and take advantage of it. It is a tricky track to overtake, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's a bit more than 3 kilometers, 3.5 kilometers in total. 11 turns our drivers have to conquer today, and as I said already, the corkscrew, very important one. But I also love turn 1 and 2. Like there's 2 times 90-degree left-hander. A lot of things can happen there. You can be on the outside, use the banking on the inside, wherever you come up with, it could be successful right there. So I'm absolutely sure that we have enough action on track today with all the racing drivers we bring in from the NALA region. Talking about region and bringing drivers in, maybe we should quickly run through the format once again, Lee, because it changed from last season, as tonight and all the previous evenings we had in this group stage final phase, we do 2 races, or let's say 2 locations, multiple races.
Yeah, so qualification was done yesterday, so they already have the pole position set for the sprint race. We're going to be starting out on the sprint race, and that then sets up the field for the main race. So the sprint race is a 15-minute race at Laguna Seca, and then we go into the main 45-minute race at Laguna Seca. And what happens is the top 8 finishers from that sprint race will reverse grid, and which means 8th place will be starting on pole position in the main race. And you'll be thinking, how is that fair? Well, the idea is it keeps things entertaining. Generally, the winner of the race is a very good driver and will have the ability to work his way back through the field again. Yeah, it happens in real life in certain races as well, so it's not just a thing for esports. It is a thing, but certainly for esports, it happens quite regularly in a lot of formats. So you guys probably quite familiar with this by now.
I absolutely love the reverse grid. I think this is what creates most of the action. And hey, we don't want to see the best driver always being at the front and just running away. We want to see him fight for every single position, and fighting also for the 15,000 prize pool in total, with 5k per region, and they will be split for the top 6, so it's definitely worth it to get every single point out there that is available on a track. Also, winner, by the way, besides all the money, he gets the coolest thing ever. He gets the chance to sign with a Lamborghini eSports team. That is not just something that you put on a polo shirt, although we know from last week they have it on the polo shirt, their logo, which looks quite cool. But it is an amazing achievement, and probably starts your esports career even further and lets you professionalize it even more. Talking about that esports team, we should probably check it out.
Hello everybody, my name is Gianfranco Giglioli, official automobile Lamborghini eSports driver, and today I will show you a lap around Laguna Seca. Let's go on board. So here we are, approaching the last corner into the main straight. Up the hill, full throttle. Without putting the 6th gear, we go down from 5th to 1st gear, a little bit wide. This car has a lot of understeer, you have to work about it. Smooth with the throttle. Then 3rd gear, 2nd gear, very clean. You don't have to exaggerate with the curbs on the outside because there is the sand, and also in the inside there are very difficult curbs, very tall, so you can fly away, you know. So 2nd gear, clean again in the exit, just a little bit touch of the curb in the outside, and then again very smooth here. 3rd gear, understeer in the exit, and now the corkscrew, the most iconic corner of the circuit. 1st, and down the hill again, 2nd, 3rd, and I stay in 3rd. A lot of understeer here. 4th, 3rd again, smooth, with the brakes and the gas, touching the outside curb, and again to the last corner, first gear, and yeah, clean in the gas, into the main straight again to end the lap in Laguna Seca. So that was a lap around Laguna Seca. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Keep pushing. This is the real race. Ciao.
He lets it sound a lot easier than it actually is. I can tell you that much. It's not easy. Laguna Seca is a hard trek. But before we jump into any of the racing action, Lee, we also bring an interview partner once again, which is Gianfranco Giglioli, the driver that we just saw from Lamborghini eSports. Gianfranco, I hope you had a great start to the day so far.
Good evening to everyone. Yeah, so far.
That's good because there will still be a lot of racing action. I hope that you stay with us to actually watch that. But we just saw your track guide on Laguna Seca. What do you like about that track? Where are the major overtaking opportunities? Give us a bit of insight before we head into the race.
I think, of course, the first corner is a huge point of overtake. But if you are very close to the opponent and maybe you push it to make a mistake, can be the corkscrew, which is a very iconic corner, and also the last corner will be an opportunity. Yeah.
Gianfranco, you competed last week. You were in the 8-hour in Indianapolis, a bit of endurance racing with the Lamborghini eSports team. How did the race go for you guys overall? What's your feeling on endurance racing in general?
Well, the past race was very tough. The level in SRO is atomic. It's very high. We are competing against the best drivers in the world. Was not easy. The last race we ended P13, but yeah, we are a very nice team. We built together a good car every time, and as we won the first one in Bathurst, I think we have all the tools to do it again, maybe, or other podium might be very nice.
Yeah, definitely looking good this season. Talking about what's looking good, the winner of the real race gets to join the Lamborghini eSports team. We quickly talked about that at the beginning of the show. In your opinion, which skills should someone bring to actually make it into the team? What makes a good sim racer?
Of course, I think not to be just fast. You have to pay attention to the details, and not only about the racing, but also building a setup and doing with your team to help the team put in those details that can bring to have a better car, you know, also because everything can improve the car, so that's very important. Of course, yeah, the pace, and also very smart in the moment of attack, the moment to defend, the moment when you have to manage the race. Yes, of course, all those things together makes a very good sim driver.
And following on from that, obviously we have Brands Hatch coming up after this. Laguna Seca, tough track to overtake. Brands Hatch, arguably even tougher. how do you get around that? Like, what sort of mind games do you have to have as a driver to try and force, the mistakes if you're following a car, the guy in front of you? How do you make him or set up the overtakes effectively?
You have to stay attached as much the most you can. Of course, you have to stress your opponent. You have to be very. You have to be there, and till the moment he will do a mistake, and then you have to take advantage of that and put your wheels ahead.
Last question before we let you go. Like, do you prefer running in a dry race or a wet race? Because we had so many wet races last week. I really want to know, do you like that?
Love wet races, and I think I perform better in wet conditions. I love it.
A wet specialist. Thank you very much, Gianfranco Giulioli, for joining us here, and I hope you will enjoy the next few minutes that are coming up with racing. Take care. A wet specialist. He would rather race in the wet. I like that because I absolutely love wet racing. I think it's cool, and don't know, Lee, do you think we get some wet racing today?
I think Brands Hatch should be wet. I'd be amazed if they don't make a UK circuit wet. Let's put it that way. Obviously, like you said, we had Spa in the MEA that was wet, very wet. We clearly had a wet specialist in there because I forget the name of the guy that won it now. It was 2 weeks ago. But he was doing like a second a lap faster than anyone else. Like, loving the conditions. Obviously, last week in the APAC region, we had 2 wet races at both Mount Panorama and Suzuka. So, two very wet circuits that clearly other drivers sort of excel in, as Gianfranco just pointed out there. Laguna Seca, can tell you, is going to be dry, or it's a 0.1 chance of rain, so it should be dry.
Yes, everything can happen, but Laguna Seca, that's our first track. Maybe we have to worry about the rain a bit later once we hit the UK. You said it already. There's probably not even a dry version of that track in sim nowadays. Wouldn't make sense anyway. But let's talk about the actual drivers that will have to perform today. And we see already right from the get-go a lot of Brazilians, and I love that because they have a very dedicated fan base out there.
Yeah, the returning champion as well, Fidel Moreira, is in there. He obviously won it last season, so he's going to be returning as well to join it. But there's a lot of top drivers in here, a lot of guys with a lot of experience, and as you say, it's basically Brazil versus America almost here, with a couple of splashes of various regions in there to settle it out. A lot more Americans this year, I would say, than last year. Last year it was heavily sided with Latin America. Last season, but it's great to see both North America and Latin America bringing a heavy presence in the drivers.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see Josh McKean, at least for me. He's a national karting champion, 2018, and he also participated in SRO in 2022. So 2022 actually in North America. So there are really big names out there, and Renan Nigiri, I think he was the highest one. Yeah, he was the qualifier winner in Barcelona. And he took part in the Le Mans eSports series and had the 6th place. I wonder, are we talking about Le Mans Virtual or the Le Mans eSports series that was back then on Forza?
Well, there are a few Forza drivers in here. I noticed that actually. A few Forza Championship places in there. Here's one that actually tickled me when I was reading it earlier. Marcelo Botticello Rodio. Good Lord, I butchered his name already. I've even read through them to get them right. But he's actually an attorney. I love it. We've got such a variation from students to karting champions to an attorney, literally an attorney at law right there. And then you got Josh McKean as well. I think he's was he the flight sim man?
No, he's the national karting champion.
Oh, he's the
SRO eSports North America. So he has a ton of experience.
It was Keenan Harris, the guy we had first. He was the flight sim technician. We were talking about earlier, we reckon his sim rig's probably like some souped up spectacular event. Ryan Woodrow, returning driver, obviously was here last season as well. Certainly a lot of experience from him. He's competed in so many different championships across the board. And then another returning driver here, Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez, who came, I believe, was it third? Was he third or fourth? He was definitely up there last season. without double checking. He was definitely in and around in the final race. Because if you remember last season, Nala was actually probably the closest region. It was down to the last race where we had the champion. And a new driver for me this one. I don't believe he was here last season. Diego Carnin coming in here with Lamborghini Diablo GT. Also got a lot of first places across the year. Been sim racing for many years, back from 2016 onwards, which I love to see. So lots of experience for him. 8 years in competitions. So definitely, as we saw with both EMEA and with APAC, the competition has certainly improved this year. I feel coming into the Lamborghini the Real race, it's definitely a lot tougher. Last year we had obviously 2 outright runner winners, is the best way to say, obviously, both in Europe and APAC. This season though, much closer, and I expect the same today.
Yeah, it's like with the guys that we have here, I don't see a problem getting a proper race on, that's for sure. And I think the interesting part is, like, we saw that McKean was like 17, right? I think he's the youngest in today's grid. And compared to that, we have Fernando, who is 53. He's in the second part of
There's hope for me yet.
You see, Lee, there's still a few years you can get out of your body and career, basically.
Not too many, but
getting closer. But I like that. That's just the cool thing about sim racing, right? We have people from all over the world and from all age ranges, backgrounds, whatsoever, and they'll come down to virtual tracks here to show their best and race wheel to wheel. And I absolutely love that. I think that's the best thing about sim racing, bring people together and let them race. Talking about letting them race, if I understood race control correctly, then we are very, very close to our first race start, which will be, as we talked about already, Laguna Seca, before we then head over to Brands Hatch. But there we go. We got Negrini leading off in front of Matt Key, and then it should be De Oliveira Rodriguez in third. So once again, among the top 5, Roberto and another Oliveira closing up the top 5.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight race, I feel, today. I'm just getting myself back in the server. Apologies, that's just why I was delaying on you. I wasn't just leaving you hanging there. I was trying to get myself quickly set up. But yeah, it's going to be a tough race today, I think, for these guys. It's going to be very interesting to see how it's going to work out. But as you can see, rolling start, all ready to go.
Yeah, we're rolling for the very first time, and let's hope that we will also roll without any issues through the corkscrew. Quite interesting for me, though, is that there is rain.
Yeah, a 0.1 chance, and then, I mean it's only slight, but it might be enough. And I got to assume these guys are going to be on dry still.
Yeah, it's greasy track. They should be on dry. Obviously, they're not right. If you're wondering now, like, hey, close up of the car, that is not the Huracán GT3. No, it's not. It's the Super Trofeo EVO2, which has, in my eyes, the coolest body kit ever today. I mean, look at it.
It's very aggressive. Yeah, it's standard Lamborghini aggressive body kits out there. They always look fantastic. But here you go. This is will be the final corner of the track. This is one of the overtaking opportunities that Gianfranco just pointed out. It is a chance. It is a first gear corner, so maybe a couple of sends going in there, and then I would say the straightest part of the track. It's still not a very strong straight at all. Sort of bends round down to the Andretti hairpin, but it looks like we're about ready to go. The green flag drops and away we go. It is going to be Negrini that starts things off. He's going to be the man that leads them into the first corner, into the Andretti hairpin, but it is a tricky hairpin, as you say. It is a double 90-degree corner, sort of long sweeping bend as they sweep on around down to turn 3, and that's when it sweeps through the desert.
Yeah, it seems like everyone got through there without major issues, at least. Negrini's still in the lead right in front of McKean. And then De Oliveira Rodriguez, side-by-side action still between Oliveira and Roberto, if I see that correctly, in the slightly darker greenish car up the inside. We're not being able yet to go around the outside, but clean racing. That's good. That's a good start for us, having everyone still on the track and in the grid. But they got together like nicely, on one lane earlier than expected.
Yeah, so often we've seen it almost going around to the corkscrew side by side all the way around. We've seen it last season, certainly was, but it does seem that they've single filed themselves as they go into the corkscrew. Oh, that was someone coming in a late break in there, and I think they've sort of sent it through. That worked out well for Gustavo Camilo, managing to just nudge on through past Riley there. So nice work from him. Jonathan Clifford up behind him as well. He's struggling for grip, it seems, just further back. But Riley now, he had taken that position going before they got into there, but that was a deep send in the corkscrew.
Yeah, definitely a bit late on the brakes. Maybe you have to get used to the greasy track. They were probably practicing in the dry with, as I said, 0.1 chance of rain. I would have certainly done so. But now they have to live with a bit less grip here and there and figure out which braking point still works, which one doesn't. Harry Hardison's still around here, but Riley back in action with Camillo. He wants that position back, I would say, that he just lost in the corkscrew. But did Clifford really close the gap that quickly? He was like a few meters behind previously, like 10-20.
Roberto just took over Olivio Rodrigo and actually just about to fight for it. Oh, he was a bit hard on the brakes there, caught Oliveira off guard behind him. They're fighting for position. Fidel Moreira, the champion of last season as well, also looking to try and get involved. He's got charging cars behind him. There's Berticelli Rodeo up behind him, who's actually gone very wide there. There's Vinny Oliveira falling back, losing 2 places. He's not going to be too happy with that in the second lap, but Fidel Moreira, he will be up to 5th place already.
Yeah, we know it's still important that you get 8th then if you can't go higher up than that, because that will be pole position. Talking about pole position, Negrini already getting 1 point for having the pole in the sprint race. That's an important detail that we so far did not mention. Gustavo Camillo with Riley and then Clifford right behind. Oh, they got a lot closer after the end of the second lap. It's really surprising to me, as I was expecting Riley and Camillo to open up and just be a bit quicker, with Clifford, who was struggling in the first lap. But he's looking good. Negrini's still leading. McKean, the 17-year-old, in second. Then Roberto and De Oliveira Rodriguez with Fidel Moreira, as he said, the reigning champion in this region, only on 5th, though.
Yeah, but he's hot on the heels of De Oliveira as well. You know, he's in there. Hello, Negrini being challenged, and the lead there is hanging on to it. Josh McKean just having a little look there. You can see the pressure on him. They are stacked 2 deep, both are behind him. If he makes a mistake, he's in all sorts of trouble. You can see they're looking to try and box him in, maybe. Josh McKean also in trouble of getting boxed in there as they come up the hill towards the corkscrew. But Negrini must have made a mistake, I've got to assume, for the half that both up behind him there through turn 5, as they were straight on his heels in turn 6 there. Big crash, that's Vinny Oliveira. Looks like he's gone tumbling down 5-6 positions, so we'll keep our eye on that in just a moment. But that's sent quite a few people through. Yeah, that's sent him quite far back. Ari Hardson's gone back a couple of positions as well. There's a few gone back there, so I've got to assume some sort of spin has happened to take a few drivers out.
Oh, Clifford immediately going for the outside here as soon as the spot opens, with Riley trying to defend up the inside, but that's a long way around. Hardison will come through, and Calvo also closing that gap. That's the problem. If you risk going for a maneuver and then you're not on point with how close everyone is right now, you immediately get punished. You might lose another position. That's not what you want to do. And I have to say, this is the 15-minute sprint race. It's all or nothing.
Absolutely. Speaking of all or nothing, look at Fidel Moreira up to 3rd place. He's taken over Roberto. The man, the champion from last season in the real race, is on it right now, working his way through the field. Started out in 8th position, I believe, overall, so he's gained 5 places already, and now chasing down Negrini and Josh McKean. Meanwhile, further down the field, trying to make 3 wide. Don't think it's going to work out there as they hold on for position, trying to hold the inside line. Not going to work out for him too well as they go back up the hill. It is Michael Moening that's managing to keep position, and that's the problem when you're challenging position. I was talking about it's a tough track to overtake, but I got to be honest, there's been plenty of overtakes because I think the greasy conditions is catching a few off guard.
Yeah, definitely. We see that in the background, by the way. That was Fernando Deutsch, the 53-year-old, 52-year-old, somewhere around that. So the oldest driver in the grid. But let's talk about Josh McKean. He was the karting champion in 2018, so he knows how to operate his steering wheel, but does he know how to actually take down Negrini, who is in the lead since the start of the race? He was on a pole, got 1 point for that already. And with Fidel Morero, all of a sudden, that's the purple-black car in the background. You definitely want to make a move sooner than rather sooner than later.
Oh, that was so well done.
Oh,
that was so
no, he goes
well
off
set
the
up.
greenie. Goes wide with that Fidel Morero just around the inside there. Look at him. Go. See, he was just like, thank you. I will take that. I'm in the lead now.
He set it up so well. He could see them fighting. Went wide on the circuit. It's like, right, I'm going to have a nice sweeping inside line. And could see them basically outbraking one another. And oh my word, yeah, and the green has been sent down to 4th place, but Fidel Morero from 8th place to 1st. What a start to the race he has. We're only halfway through the sprint race already, and he's already got it done. He's in the lead.
Yeah, there we see once again why he is the reigning champion in this region. While Calvo tries to get 12th position off Hardison, who's right in front of him there in the green and black Super Trofeo. But as soon as he goes for a move, Baltman might be around to take the opportunity and to get closer to the top 8. Oh, there's a car on the outside. Who was that? That was the purple one of Berticelli Rodio.
Yeah, Berticelli Rodio, he's gone way down, hasn't he? He's down to 14th position, so lost, 8 places already. So it's clearly an incident in there somewhere was involved in something that sent him off the track because everybody went piling forward. But Fidel Morero, you can see now in the lead, Josh McKean up behind him. Now that puts Felipe Roberto in 3rd place because Negrini's down to 4th position. He's going to be ruining that chance after setting the pole, setting time. Another driver that's been slyly, sneakily working up there, Ryan Woodrow, started out in 10th up to 5th place already. The driver that returned obviously last season has got past Rodriguez, so he'll be delighted with that.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to score big immediately in the first sprint race. We know that there's obviously more to come. There's a main race here in Laguna Seca. There's another 2 races in Brands Hatch, but starting strong gives you that confidence that you need. But we will see a replay of the double overtaking that we had previously. Let's look into that. Oh, from the cockpit perspective, I absolutely love that, and you can see how precise the drivers are.
Look at him go wide. Look, he reads the situation and says, right, I'm gonna go brake early and swing it inside, and just saw them looking to outbrake themselves as it got a little bit wetter there.
It's just incredible how smooth his input still was. He saw them touching and going sideways and a bit wide in the corner, but he was just locked into his own line and just went through with it. Absolutely lovely maneuver by Fidel Morera.
All penalties. Penalties coming through. Josh McKean's picked up a 15-second penalty. That is going to hurt because they are very tightly compact. Nobody's got themselves a lead. That's going to send him tumbling down. As well as Oliveira as well. 15-second penalty for him. I'll double check what those penalties are for.
Yeah, 15 seconds. That in the 15-minute sprint race is hard. And we just heard from Race Control 15 seconds. That's for Oliveira for an incident that we saw. Didn't really see that one.
So avoidable contact with the rear of it was Negrini, wasn't it? That's what Josh McKean's got it for. So he's been given for that first corner.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
Negrini was covering up the inside, but it was on Josh McKean to ensure that he can brake early enough. He tapped the rear there with the breezy conditions that we have out on the track, even though the track is 37 degrees warm, so it should not be too bad. It just didn't work out.
Oliveira's was for the contact with Rodeo, which is why Rodeo is now down in 15th place. Yeah, so obviously 2 incidents. Great to see the marshals hot on the heels of everything that's been happening there. Max Baumann, we haven't had a look down the field too much here, but you can see they are tightly compacted. A bit of a strain forming, unfortunately, behind our Max Baumann here. He's actually telling a lie. It's not Max that's leading the train. It's Ari Hardison that's the man in the green Lamborghini as they go down through the corkscrew. And you can see 5 stacked up behind him. So a Hardison train is forming.
Yeah, definitely. That is position 11 onwards. So just shy outside the top 10. Talking about positions that are good to have. Riley still in 8th, which would give him pole position on the main race. The 45-minute feature race happening right after this one. But this is a proper group. I mean, look at them, how close they are. We are 10 minutes into the race, and Baumann is still right behind here. And on the rear bumper of Calvo going into turn 1, there might be an opening, actually. But going back to Riley, he might lose his position 8, which is pole position in main race here to Clifford, who goes around the outside. Now there might be a bit of contact. Both drivers keeping on, though nothing happened. but all of a sudden Oliveira is in this pack as well.
Yeah, this is nice clean race, and they're keeping it as tight as they can. This is where we were expecting the action to happen on the first lap. This is where we thought it was going to be too wide, but it's actually ended up being very clean in the first lap. But now they're realizing, guys, we've only got like 2-3 laps left of this. It's such a short circuit. They're running out of time, and they're really just trying to put their moves in, try and work their way up there. Remember, points carry all the way through. It's not just about the sprint race, the main race. Everything will carry through the season. So, oh, that's just loss of control. Loss of control back there. I didn't see who it was that went sideways. I think it was Michael Monin. Yes, it was. There he is. And Rodeo was also involved as well, unfortunately. So, but Selly, Rodeo having a disaster. Speaking of disasters, Calvo going across the corkscrew, across the gravel. Not the ideal route.
Yeah, I think it was a bit late on the braking there, and luckily he could go through the safety zone, kind of bringing back the car in one piece to the track. I think there was no impact, at least not that we saw it. So he should be all right. Calvo behind Oliveira with these 15 seconds penalty still lurking around the corner. That should be enough to drop him further down. Moreira, by the way, half a second of a gap by now to McKean, plus the 15 seconds. So McKean will drop. Where does it drop, though? Is it like, it's not even top 10 there.
I was wondering whether we were going to get an Andrew O'Hara situation and it drops him into 8th, but I don't think it is, because they're so quite tightly compacted. There is a bit of a gap there, so it's possible he does end up in 8th place, but I've got a feeling it's going to be more like 9th. Or 10th possibly, because they are fairly close. Speaking of fairly close, trying to see if they can squeeze a third car in there. Calvo and Ari Hardison trying to squeeze on past. He's just boxed in. He really wants to get past. You can see he's just like, I can't go left, I can't go right. They're either side of me, right in front of me. I'm just going to have to back off. It's one of those tricky situations, and that's where obviously the top drivers, you got to keep you cool. You can't go too wide going into corkscrew. He realized that, he's just backed out.
Yeah, it's like, obviously when you have the chance being side by side with someone, then you want to make a move, but definitely there was no way for him to maneuver the car into any advantageous position at all. Gustavo Camillo once again with Clifford in the back, and then Oliveira, Riley up front. And I think that is the Oliveira Rodriguez that we see on 6 there in the red, black and red Super Trofeo, trying to cover up the inside. So Riley can't push through, but they had a way better exit. Riley pushed the Oliveira Rodriguez a tiny bit, and I think that gives a chance here to Camilo to actually move through. They all bunched up down into turn 1. Camilo now, he won one position, but who's there on the inside? Incredible maneuver was that. Clifford going all the way through. Unfortunately, he couldn't hold the position. Oh, there's a contact with Camilo. Camilo spinning around. Very unfortunate here after such a good entry to turn 1.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, you say good entry. I thought he just completely outbraked himself there. Absolutely did himself. Moreno under pressure from Josh McKean here with just, 57 seconds left. They may just about squeeze another lap in, because they are coming up to the corkscrew right now. So I got a feeling they should have another lap, but this is definite pressure for the lead here. Fidel Moreira, he had to fight for his championship last season with Henderson, so he's well aware of how to deal with this. They had Laguna Seca last season as well, but yeah, definitely was under tight pressure. You can see 34 seconds on the clock, so we will have another lap because they're coming down to the final corner. Further back down the field, Fernando Deutsch putting pressure onto Rodeo there, who's had a torrid time of it, no doubt about it. Probably carrying a fair bit of damage on that Lamborghini. Actually, it looks pretty clean.
Yeah, I was wondering. I would have expected some damage as well, but Fidel Moreira, as he said, he will start another lap, and McKean all of a sudden half a second away once again, plus these 15 seconds, so Moreira doesn't really have to defend too hard though. But these conditions won't make it easy to anyone. I wonder if we get the same conditions in the feature race, to be honest. That would be very interesting.
Nice run there, Ari Hardison. It was Calvo that's trying to squeeze up his inside. Should be able to get the line as well. Will be on the inside coming into turn 1. Or technically turn 1 is that tiny little curve there. This is technically turn 2 and 3. But that's just the way sometimes circuits love to number their circuits. But Ari Hardison does hang on there. Further back, actually, this is further up the field. This is almost a battle for pole position, as it were. De Oliveira Rodriguez in that 7th place, and Clifford in the blue Lamborghini there. You can see that would be pole position in the next race, the 45-minute main race, unless he goes past and puts Rodriguez there. Whereas Oliveira obviously carrying that 15-second penalty, not really going to matter so much for him. But Rodriguez leaves the door open here. Clifford might be able to send it.
Yeah, maybe he wants to drop behind, to be honest, just to get pole position. And we saw Clifford diving into turn 1, as he said, might have been a bit late on the brakes, or just had the best entry ever. Really love that, how he got in there. But Vinny Oliveira, he will not really be able to get involved here with these 15 seconds looming over him right now. Same, by the way, for McKean still, so the only ones with the penalties on, while Morera crosses the line, wins the sprint race, so he will be a lucky guy to score 16 points in the sprint race. McKean will be dropping down, so Roberto gets to 12 points.
Did he just steal 6th on the line? Yes, he did. Clifford stole it on the line for past Negrini there. So I don't know whether Negrini was running out of fuel. I noticed he lost a place to Riley early on as well. He was running really slowly towards the end there, Negrini was. And I wonder, obviously, remember, he started on pole position. That extra lap came in from Moreno with, 10 seconds to go on the clock. I got a feeling he was running out of fuel. And he just lost 2 places on the last 2 corners.
It wouldn't be the first time that we see this, with everyone trying to really ensure that the car is as light as possible. No one wants any additional fuel hanging around, kinda, or any other additional weight that you have to carry around Laguna Seca, not even in a 50-minute race where, yeah, every single maneuver counts. We saw that. So Fidel Morera, once again, coming back as the reigning champion, making sure that everyone knows that, hey, I'm still the man to beat.
So
that's how it is.
So Josh McKean, the penalties actually put him down to P4, so it wasn't that bad in the end.
Wow,
because they'd pulled ahead so much, it put him down to P4. So yeah, not too bad in the end.
Definitely, he will be happy still. 4th, I think you can live with that as a start in the sprint race. There's more points on the line in the feature race. There's 25 for the winner there, 18 and 15, 12, 10. And then all the way down to 20th. Which is different in sprint race. Sprint race, the last person to score is 15th, and there's less points on the line for everyone. But Morera, as we said, he will be the one to beat now in the feature race, and he just proved that he can go from 8th to 1st.
Yeah,
in 2 laps.
And now he's got to do it again. But he did it so well. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong, he benefited from mistakes of other drivers, but he absolutely did it brilliantly, proving why he was the champion last season.
Yeah, can Morera do it again? That's the big question. Or could be McKean now, the lucky driver, getting those 25 points in the feature race. Laguna Seca, 45 minutes of racing action coming your way just after a short break. break done and dusted. The first one for tonight, because there will be even more races. And talking about races, Lee, we just got done, rid of that 50-minute sprint race, because now it's time for the proper dinner 45-minute race at Laguna Seca. Can Fidel Morera do it again? And will we get rain?
Well, at the moment it's looking wet in the server. Whether we get full rain for it, I don't know. Whether it's going to be a steady downpour, it's actually looking wetter. But that's just practice. Maybe things will change after free practice. I don't know. But I can see a lot of standing water this time around. So maybe we're going to get a very wet Laguna Seca. But it does surprise me because, as I say, even the settings did say it was going to be 0.1 chance of rain. So that 0.1 has obviously been today. It sets a precedence because, obviously, as I say, we did have wet races all the way through the APAC region. Vini Oliveira did very well, actually. Well, didn't end up, unfortunately, getting that 15-second penalty after punting Rodeo off the circuit, didn't he? So did end up further back. Eri Riley, he was certainly a contender up in the... ended up in, I think, 5th or 6th due to those places obviously lost by the man that ran out of fuel.
Yeah, Jonathan Clifford, he was in the same fighting group, the US driver, 33 years old, and he's one of those that already qualified for the real race in 2021, and also qualified for SRO eSports 2022, but so definitely someone that spends a lot of time in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and let's see if that pays off later on in the feature race. Next up is Harris Keenan from the US, or, Keenan Harris, actually, it's the wrong way
He's
around.
our flight sim technician, I'm sure he is.
Flight simulator technician. Yeah, that's what the list says, which is probably one of the coolest jobs I read so far on it.
Yeah, well, I want to see what his rig's like. You know, we have pictures. Obviously, Fidel Morera sent his picture of his rig in that line. I want to see what his rig's like. I reckon he's got a zooped up. I reckon he's got one of those bouncing the full hydraulics lot.
Roberto Felipe, he will probably have most of the fun at work, because it says here, work with a company of forklifts, maintenance, and rental. That's a lot of forklift racing. The entire
I was
day.
going to say, if he drives around in them like he drives around here, he's having a fun day.
I love forklift racing, actually. Ari Hardison, we saw him on camera a bit more often. That was a big fighting group that we had down there, 11, 12, 13-ish. And he is 23 years old, and which is more than interesting, is world record for Audi Sport Quattro on the Dirt Rally 2.0 stage. Now I want to know the stage. Which one?
Yeah, exactly which one, because it's quite a lot. The Dirt Rally
Ari
2.0 is
Stepper.
also quite a few years ago now.
Tell us which stage it is. It's like Audi Quattro. I mean, obviously Audi Sport Quattro is one of the coolest rally cars out there.
Well, Dirt Rally 2, what are they up to? Dirt Rally 5 or 6 these days?
No. Now you're talking about Dirt.
Right.
Dirt Rally, we're still at 2.0. We're at the
still at
original
2.0.
Dirt Rally.
Oh, the original. Oh, that one. Oh my god.
And then we
okay,
had
yeah.
Dirt Rally 2.0. And now, Dirt 5, I think, is the main, like, the arcade series
That's
right
Dirt,
now.
yeah, which
But
is arcade, yeah.
Enough about rally racing. Not doing any rally racing, as cool as it is. But no,
Well, I
circuit
don't
racing
know.
is cooler.
Some of them have gone off-road a fair few times.
Yeah, we don't count that as rallying, though, do we?
No, they don't need to drive along grass in this circuit.
True. And we're not talking about a specific Spa 24-hour event that happened this weekend, where a lot of people had to drive through a lot of grass. Kind of
And
like
gravel.
a lawnmower championship. I think that's what it is. But instead, we wait for the race session to start, and you're right. Track was listed as wet. Now track is listed as damp.
Yeah, it's I can't tell whether it's going to get wetter or not. I mean, the clouds are still showing rain, so over the next 10:30, I think it moves on an hour, right, from free practice to race when they're in free practice at the moment on the server. So I think when it moves on, it shifts from 2 till 3 p.m. I believe. It's showing 1 p.m. at the moment, so
Yep.
we will find out.
Rain races are fine. Laguna Seca, though, I would have been okay with proper sun. I think that fits the scenery quite well.
Yeah.
But it's definitely one of the tracks that I think never raced in rain, actually. Laguna Seca in the rain. Does it even happen in rain?
I was just thinking that. I was like, I would love to know any real life.
I'll check
versions
that
of this.
now. How often
Yeah, I'm sure there probably has, but
was
not very
Laguna
often, right?
Seca raced
Wet race, yeah.
in the wet?
So Google, I'm sure, will come up with something, but there you go. But yeah, it's not a circuit you'd often... I mean, let's face it, it's a desert track, right? So that kind of tells the story.
There's actually there's actually no info about that, although a certain weather page says in March, average of 2.1 days with at least 0.04 inches.
So yeah, not a lot.
So, not a lot of rain happening. I would need to read all of these climate diagrams now, which I should be able to because I had that at school. It was one of the my main courses before hitting the university. But not sure if I can still do that. That's temperatures anyway. So where's rain?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we had Spa in the wet, obviously for EMEA, which, you know, how many times has Spa been in the wet? Quite a lot. As of late, I think the Formula 1 didn't even happen, did it, last year, if I remember rightly, in the wet there. Obviously we had Suzuka. Suzuka's permanently wet, it seems. Every time there seems to be a race there, it seems to be wet, unless it's the motorbikes, and then they have it dry. And then obviously we had Mount Panorama, which actually generally isn't wet, in fairness. Bathurst, better known as. Generally is pretty dry. But they do have quite a bit of rain in Australia as well. They don't get away with it all the time, but they're obviously in reverse... what's the word I'm after? Equator, that's the word I'm after. They're on the flip side, aren't they? So their winter's our summer and their summer's their winter.
There's actually more rain than I expected. I should stop this now. It's like
Is there really?
Yeah, there was like a daily chance throughout our summer months that was listing like 41 up to 50%. Which really confused me. Maybe I just read it wrong, but that's what happened. But yeah.
Now we know real weather conditions right now.
Could be. Maybe it's raining. It's like, is anyone in the chat out there currently
out in Laguna Seca? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, chances are slim.
Let us know though. You never know. I mean, fun story. We had Andika Ramamulana in the last show, right?
Yep.
From the APEC region. A friend of him from Indonesia. I coached him at the Nürburgring 2 weeks prior. And we just realized, because he posted a picture of me with him in the car, and Andika Ramamulana actually messaged him and was like, "Oh man, that's Renee from Lamborghini eSports." So, see, everything can happen.
See, he doesn't just talk rubbish on camera, he actually does it in real life.
The talking rubbish part?
Yeah, a bit of that, yeah.
Thank you very much for your support there, man.
That's
really
all
appreciate
right,
it.
I'm here to
I
help.
can see people gritting up. That's a good start. So we will soon go into this. Like I said, I had 3 days already on the track. So how about you? Why are you even allowed to talk about racing? How many laps did you do today?
I know, right? I know exactly where I've been. Yeah, you've been there today, haven't you? You've been out on the track today.
Because great weather.
Unfortunately, I don't live next to the Nürburgring.
You could.
In fairness, Spa's about as far away as Nürburgring as well, isn't it? They're both about an hour drive from where I live in Cologne.
But we got the great De Oliveira Rodriguez. He will be on pole position in front of Negrini, then Clifford, Riley, and McKean. So McKean down to 5th. Ryan Woodrow on 6th, Roberto 7th, and then Fidel Moreira obviously as the winner from the sprint race on 8th.
Yeah, so Moreira obviously with the flip will be back down in 8th place. Oliveira Rodrigo certainly. I mean, Negrini was on pole position going into the sprint race and did a very good job at staying up there for a long time until he finally gave way. I tell you what, though, it is wet out there, and it's going to get wetter. Look at that in the next 10-30 minutes. It's horrible weather out there. So this is going to be a tough one.
Definitely. I mean, look at the corkscrew. This is basically looks like on ice. It is wet, and do I see that correctly? We will get more rain, or is that less rain?
Yeah, no, that's more
rain even.
It's more, then it goes less. Like 30 minutes to be less, but it's going to get a lot more in the next 10 minutes. So it's going to be heavy rain coming up. So this is going to be a very wet one. I hope the drivers have got their wet tyres on in preparation, because this could get messy.
Definitely, and race control said there is a high chance for heavy rain coming our way. So this will be a harsh race. There's no way around that. And let's see if it's still Moreira being the best in these conditions. So we had Greasy before, now it's all wet, as Lee already said. And De Oliveira Rodriguez, he will lead the pack around the last corner before starting the feature race in Laguna Seca. Our last race in Laguna Seca before we head over to Brent Hatch. That was Negrini all the way to the right. Tracy lost space there. When do we see green? When does De Oliveira Rodriguez start our first feature race of the evening?
I gotta be honest, I think the Greenie was ahead of him. I'm going over the line there myself. I feel like there might be a fine there coming through, a penalty rather, but we'll see. It does mean the Greenie is going to launch it and go really late on the brakes, and he's going to try and carve it back round there. Clifford's also trying to make his way round. I'm going to look further back to see if anyone else come through. Roberto has managed to get past Riley as well. Fidel Moreira already up to 7th place as well as he squeezes and battles with, I think that's Ryan Woodrow alongside him there. It is indeed as they try and look to battle for positions to see whether Moreira could do and repeat what he did in the first race, the sprint race, go from 8th to 1st.
Yeah, he's already one up, right? He's up to 7th now. It's a good start. Looking at Riley right now. I loved how he quickly looked up the inside, then decided against us like that, not working in this kink here, and we still have the corkscrew coming up, so that will be a nice spot doing it, right? It always looks good on camera. Let's see, he's really close, getting all the slipstream for the very first time in the feature race to go up to the corkscrew. It is still wet, and it will need to be great on the brakes. I think he tapped Riley there.
Sure he did, yeah.
Oh, that was Moreira surviving that one.
I think that was Woodrow, wasn't it?
Was it Woodrow spinning around? I caught it.
Or was it? I think it's Woodrow. It was Woodrow. Yeah, it was Ryan Woodrow. Yeah, he got. I think he was behind Moreira though. He got hit, didn't he?
Wow, that was a crazy one. I mean, I thought Moreira was already very late on the braking. I think he tapped Riley a tiny bit, but then seeing the cars right behind him spinning out, I think he knew that this could have been the end to his race.
Well, Rodeo, obviously, he got a little unlucky in spun, which means he's starting down in 15th place he was, but he's working his way up already. He's managed to work his way up. I tell a lie, he started down in 17th place. He's already up to 11th, so making grounds. The attorney in his real life work, he is putting some work in, obviously. He got spun in the first lap. Let's have a look at the Ryan Woodrow incident from that second lap to see exactly how it worked going into the corkscrew.
Great shot here from outside of the driver's door. Bit late. Oh, he tapped.
It's Carnigan.
Yeah, that was Carnigan onto Woodrow, but Woodrow survived that one. Carnigan didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, he's still in there.
It was Carnigan that basically dumped him up the bum. And Woodrow, unfortunately, down to 16th now from 8th. Speaking of going up positions, though, Fidel Moreira is through again. He's already got past Riley, and he's carving his way through the pack once more.
He's doing a really good job here, trying to judge every single corner. Like, it's a bit less grip than previous lap, because it only gets worse, at least in the next 10 minutes. Can he close the gap now to Roberto and McKean? Oh, Josh McKean here against Clifford, and it seems like he got the upper hand. Last corner up the inside, sending it. And Clifford, who we know already can be very late in turn 1, we saw that in the main race. Let's see if he does it again. No, McKean covering up the inside. Good. Oh, good on him here. See how he parked the car on the apex, not enabling Clifford to come through again. And with that, Clifford even drops another position, I think. I think Roberto also...
He's kept it. Yeah, Roberto couldn't quite get it done, it looked like there. He did try and switch away from me, but yeah, looks like Clifford's holding them up at the moment. You can see Felipe Roberto wants to get past, and that's Moreira that's already on the heels of these guys. He's going to watch how this works out, play it as safe as he can. Clifford tries to go defensive, tries to park his car on the corner. Moreira almost getting collected there, so he's just having to ease off the gas a little bit, making sure he doesn't get caught out as well, because Riley's right on his heels, wanting to get past and regain that position back.
Yeah, De Oliveira Rodriguez up there at the front did not run away just yet, so I think Fidel Moreira has a bit of time to make that move side by side once again into the kink up the hill. David Calvo seems like he will be the lucky one this time. Now on top in that pedal, but see that they were nearly 3 wide up the hill, and then everyone has to be hard on the brakes here for the corkscrew. That looks very messy down there with Deutsch versus Junior, I think that is. The 2 green Huracán Super Trofeo EVO2 that we see in the background. Yeah, Dave Jr. in front of, I think, Fernando Deutsch. I just love how we have these fighting groups right now. Laguna Seca really delivering today.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And the Greenie currently got the fastest lap. We said he can do it. Obviously, he was the pole sitter in the sprint race and had an unfortunate incident. You can see he's putting pressure on the leader right now, which is Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez did fantastically well last season. But, oof, my word, look at the battle going on back here. Camilo, they are side by side, nudging. Someone's going to come out badly here, I feel. This is getting a little nasty down there in the back of the pack. That's Camilo Hardison. Camilo, in the end, is going to be the man that loses places as they all go squeezing through.
Yeah, that was quite crazy. There were like 4 cars and all of them happening too wide going into that. Like 6 cars and everyone too wide. So they definitely know how to put on a show. Fernando Deutsch, that was the driver that lost most positions in here. He's now trying to get around Rodriguez. Well, we go to Jonathan Clifford in the corkscrew. Fidel Moreira, that's the purple car to look out for in the background. The reigning champion of this region, the winner of the sprint race, and probably the favorite here for the 45-minute feature race as well. We only 6 minutes into this one, and he already gained 2 positions. And let's see the overall, that's like what, 5-6 seconds to De Oliveira Rodriguez. Keeping in mind that there's also a pit stop still.
Yeah, there is a decent gap forming though between the front 2 and Josh McKean. You can see McKean he's started now he's got past Clifford. He's starting to catch and try and reel them back in. But I've got to be honest, Negrini and Oliveira Rodriguez have kind of got themselves down the road. A 4-second gap already to 3rd place. So there's a lot of work to be done here. But it is a 45-minute race. You can see it's still just under 40 minutes to go in this race. Lots of time for things to change.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with the pit stops, we saw the undercut, overcut. There were some good strategies, especially last time around with the EMEA region. Previous weekend, let's see what Nala has to offer when it comes to that. Felipe Roberto, 5th, right behind Clifford. Clifford definitely losing a bit of pace right now. Not up to what McKean is currently doing, and with Moreira pushing from the back, these 3 will definitely come together very, very soon, I feel. And it will be interesting to see how Moreira tackles this to get close at least to the podium here. But once again, he does that so early and so effortless. It's incredible.
Riley, pressure here from Carlin. Just keeping him at bay at the moment. Riley was in the top 8. Finished in 5th position in the first race. You can see started out 4th in this main race. Dave Jr. still battling with I believe it wasn't it Deutsch, but Deutsch has gone down to 19th, so I guess he lost that battle. I guess something bad happened there. But this is 12th and 14th battling it out. A fight for P4 apparently, which tells me Jonathan Clifford's under problem with Moreira going really heavy on the brakes there, and I think I saw someone following as well there. But Moreira a little late on the brake set, pouring himself out of position, whether that's because he was entangled in watching Clifford Roberto battling it out. Definitely, so it seems that the champion is struggling in these conditions.
Yeah, it is not easy. We got way more rain. You see that with the clouds also on the top right of your screen. Stall track with 33 degrees, fairly good for the tires, but you're not out there with slicks. Jonathan Clifford still in 4th, still Roberto and Moreira behind him, but Moreira with that mistake into turn 1, I wonder if he might go a bit like easy now, not throwing away the big points and set this 25 points this time around for the win, which is like 10 more than what you had in the sprint race. So you want to ensure that you get them before you go into Brands Hatch, because who knows what happens in Brands Hatch. That's a crazy UK track that I absolutely love. Long stretches, a lot of slipstreaming, but very hard to overtake. But seeing this grid so far and how often they already went side by side or 3 wide and diving into corners, I'm absolutely sure that Brands Hatch will also get us enough action on the screen. Diogo Carnin right now under pressure by, it's Betticelli Rodeo with Riley right in front. And these two, they're still going at each other. Hardison and Junior, that's like, this fight started 10 minutes ago and still ongoing.
Yeah, it's still going, but now you can see Calvo's got involved in it as well, so he's starting to put pressure on to Dave Jr., who himself has suddenly realised he needs to now defend as they go into the Andretti hairpin, which is turns 2 and 3 here. He's left the door open, but Calvo thought about it and thought, no, it's going to be a bit hotter on the brakes. We have our first pit stop coming in. Baumann coming in early, just after 10 minutes into the race. They can take that pit stop whenever they like. It doesn't have to be sort of for the halfway marker, so obviously he's picked up damage somewhere along the line there, so I don't know what exactly incident's happened. Speaking of incident, Roberto was in 5th place, just went off the track there. He's going to lose positions. Lois has won 2 places as Riley also goes through along with Moretta.
Yeah, Moretta will be happy. That's 1-4-3 here on his way to the top.
Did he just spin Riley?
Oh,
he
did.
just spun. Roberto came back on and spun Riley. Oh, my word.
Right in the corkscrew, and then you're spinning down that hill. Not fun at all. That's for sure. Hopefully there was no impact, so that he didn't pick up a lot of damage.
It sent Riley down to, what, 14th position or something? Yeah, I absolutely ruined his race.
That's very sad to see. Definitely. And then Harry Riley, yeah, you had to turn around there to even make it back on the track. Not the position Harry Riley should be in. Just saw that. And it wasn't on him. It was Roberto just overshooting the left king to go uphill. And from there on, it seems like he never got the car back on track. Or like back in control at least.
So maybe it was a double nudge. It may have been a double nudge. We'll see whether we can get another look at it. But yeah, it sounds like it may have been a Diego nudge into Roberto into Eri, which, you know, at the time you don't care, because all you feel is you just got punted from behind. That's all you care about. You're like, oh my god, that guy punted me. Then you hit the replay, look at the replays later, and you're like, oh, okay, he got hit and he got hit, so it was not his fault. So he's probably angry at Roberto right now, but yeah, it might be unjust.
That was someone running really hot into the left king. I think someone just spun the car around. Who was that? That was bluish car in the background, like going here over the curb onto the AstroTurf. Lost the rear, spun out. That can happen so easily. AstroTurf is definitely not your friend in the rain.
There you go.
We get the replay now. Oh, that is the incident. Let's see.
So that's Roberto just rejoining. Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I don't know. He didn't get touched at all.
No.
That was Roberto that punted Eri completely.
Yeah. He was just a bit far up the inside.
Yeah. If anything, Diogo was avoiding action. He had to completely throw his line out and brake. Did completely miss, yeah. So no, that was all on Roberto. I think we're going to see a 15-second penalty coming in for him, which really doesn't do it justice, because poor old Riley's down in 15th place now. Fidel Moreta, hello. He is fighting with Clifford, and it looks like he may have got it done. Clifford's going to be on the inside here. Moreta gives him a lot of space, but he's already got the move done.
That's just car control. You saw that around the outside twice, basically. Not even defending up the inside. Really knowing how much grip he can get out of the car at that moment, maximizing traction and acceleration out of the corner, and with that leaving Clifford in the dust kinda, or in the water spray for today. Although I think we get a bit less rain the next 30 minutes. That will be interesting. Do we might see a drying line this time, where it could be worth just stay out there on the track, see if it dries that much down that in your pit stop you want to switch to slicks.
Monin wants to switch to something because he's just been in the barrier. I didn't see what caused it. I just spotted him losing many places, so he's in all sorts of trouble. I mean, with the track being wet, you'd think you want to switch to slicks. I mean, I know you get a drying line, but I'm not sure about that yet. I'm not sure about that one, Rennie.
I just love using slicks on drying lines. It's exactly mine. So, but we get a replay, which should have been...
This is Michael Morning, I think it is. I saw him in the barrier. I didn't exactly see what caused it.
Okay, so that is Junior, actually. Last turn, going over the curb a bit.
Oh.
Yeah. He went over the inside curb. It's a slightly sausage curvy style. Yeah. And then a bit...
in the pits!
How did he end up there? Oh, is that Woodrow in the pits?
I look like it might have been. I was watching the 24 Hour the other day in one of the lowest splits. It wasn't the top split, but someone came into the pits really slow, because you were only doing 50k in the pits max, I think it is your limit, and it turned in too early. Clipped the inside. Oh, hello! I'm watching Kanin lose it. Turned in too early, clipped the pit wall, and just completely flipped it and wrecked the car. It was just like the weirdest accident I've ever seen in sim racing for a while. It was so bizarre. But these things happen. And yeah, seeing it. I mean, that just shows how wet it is, right? If it's spinning it going into the pits.
Yeah, which clearly marks time for slicks.
Yeah, we'll go back to your slick, shall we?
No.
What's
Like I said,
happened
I just thought, like, if it gets a bit drier, there is a chance for a drying line, but problem is it's in 30 minutes, so it will not stop raining that early. And I just really love drying lines. So that's why I was hoping for them. Probably not getting them here in Laguna Seca, but with 0.4 of a chance of rain in Brands Hatch, and seeing that we with 0.1 got a wet race here in Laguna Seca, I think there's a chance for another wet race. So, hey, maybe there.
There's a back marker, isn't there? I think they've just passed there in between Clifford and Morena. So already starting to collect the back markers. 15 minutes into this race. It's a 45-minute race overall. Ryan Woodrow is the back marker that's just behind them, I believe. Who's actually made his pit stop already. So him and Barman are the first two to go in the pits. Now, Karnin was in 7th place, now down to 8th as Rodeo goes through. What a great drive from Rodeo, by the way. We were talking about obviously how he got sent off. He's now gained 10 places from 7th up to 17th. Another car struggling there. You can see a couple of them getting caught off guard here. Somebody who isn't getting caught off guard, Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez. He's started to form himself. He's almost up to a 3-second gap now over Negrini. He is starting to do really well. Speaking of Negrini, he is coming in the pits.
Yeah, that's 7 seconds in total until McKean, and even Negrini here with a little slide into the pit stop. I wonder if his crew was already like holding their breath, like, oh, please, get the car here in one piece, don't destroy it. And he did, but with that, Morera is already on 2nd, up by a lot of position. Oh no, wait, McKean is still out there.
Yeah, third.
Yeah, McKean is obviously still out there. And De Oliveira Rodriguez is still in the lead, but now with what looks like a more than 10-second gap between De Oliveira Rodriguez and Morera. There's a lot of time, on the other hand. If Morera keeps going at this rate, there's still enough time on the clock in total for him to catch up.
I'll tell you what, though, De Oliveira Rodriguez, he's smashing the laps out. Like, his average laps are faster than most people's fastest laps. He's absolutely loving these wet conditions, so clearly reveling in it. Ryan Woodrow has got Jonathan Clifford up behind him. I'm sure the blue flags are waving his way, so doesn't want to hold them up too much. Is obviously running after his pit stop, and obviously for him, he's trying to battle himself because he's trying to regain some of those positions that he lost early on. But yeah, he really should just get out.
Yeah, it's like with a blue flag, should not get involved in any fights here, and this is the top group. So yeah, just try to make way as soon as possible here for Jonathan Clifford, but obviously you don't want to interfere with your own race and all that stuff. But
I know it's like when you're racing yourself, when there's a back marker in your way, it is so frustrating. If they did, I mean, the chances are they probably don't even delay you by much. But if the slightest thing just unsettles you, like this guy getting in the way, you've got it in your head like, I could be so much faster right now. You know, these are all things that are going to be going through Jonathan Clifford's head because, you know, Felipe Roberto is coming right up behind him. He's 0.6 behind him now.
Yeah, but will be interesting if he moves out of the way anytime soon, or if this will start a fight between Clifford and Roberto. Jonathan Clifford on a board. That's what he sees right now behind the back marker, which is not a lot with all that rain out there. Not easy conditions to drive in. That's for sure. And look at now how they're forming. Felipe Roberto is all over him now. This starts a new fight. But I also don't feel like Clifford is a lot quicker. Which, as you say, is like, it obviously unsettles you, especially on the braking. Because you always feel like you're braking a bit harder just to not run into a back marker.
Yeah. Or you're braking earlier because you're like thinking you're not sure if he's going to be braking at the same point you brake. I mean, we are now, 2 laps he's been behind him now. So, I got to be honest, the amount of blue flags we've gone past here, this is almost a disqualification. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's probably racing at the same pace, but the fact is, this is 4th and 5th up behind you. You need to get out the bloody way.
Yeah, Roberto's loving that.
We started talking about this and they were in the court room. Yeah, to the point that Filippo Roberto's just said, screw this, I'm going to the pits.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad call at all. If he's really thinking he's losing time there, that's a chance. Will he also slide? Oh, not that much though. But it's a smart call now doing the pit stops, trying to get that out of the way so you don't have to come in a bit later. And you don't want to be involved in Clifford maybe losing patience behind the back marker. And then something happens, right? Berticelli Rodeo, by the way, I really love his livery, like the purple mint one. The real race livery. That's really cool. Same for Jonathan Clifford. Like, I like the ones with weird colours.
Drive-through penalty to Dave Jr. Okay, so I want to put it in perspective because I was probably being a bit harsh on Ryan Woodrow. I mean, he's still there, and he is being blue flagged. But he's actually only 7 seconds behind the Greenie, and the Greenie was second. And they've both come out of the pits. So he's actually 7 seconds behind in second place. So actually, he probably is battling for position, even though it doesn't look that way, and he is technically getting blue flagged.
Yeah, true. Well, might be that. Oliveira and Calvo both coming to the pits now, so they have Niggerini, Woodrow, Merning, Jr., Botman, and Camille all out of the way, with Roberto now being the top driver to go into the pits. Question is, when will Fidel Moreira come in? Currently in third, still 3 seconds, so I think not much change between him and McKean. Wasn't able to close the gap yet.
Roberto just picked up a 15-second penalty, as has Oliveira. So a couple of those coming out now. Maybe shunts here, there, and everywhere. I'll double check what they are in a second. And the pit stops continue to come. Calvo actually losing a position there quite easily. Actually, just got to get out of the way, if anything.
Oh, okay, yeah, the drive-through for speeding in pit lane for Junior, yeah. That's why he
Yeah, that
in
makes
again.
sense, yeah.
It has to happen. Carney now in as well, so he will drop down the board. McKean is losing time. Moreira is not gaining much. So McKean, you see that? 8.5 seconds now to Oliveira Rodriguez. Previously it was like 7.1. So the Oliveira Rodriguez currently doing a great job creating that gap for his pit stop to not drop too much into traffic. But how much do you need right now in these conditions when going into the pits?
Yeah, absolutely. It's tricky. It's tricky. There's no doubt about it. There's a couple of penalties sort of outstanding. I can see. I'm looking at what's been going on there, but contact is generally what those two penalties are coming for, contact and spins, which actually makes sense. Roberto obviously was the one that contacted into what was his name, Riley, a while back. So Riley was sent down to 15th position at the time. Is up to 7th at the moment due to the pit stops. Another 15-second penalty, Cannon coming in, so they're starting to stack up, aren't they?
It's incredible how we create these fighting groups over and over again. And Gary Riley is under pressure. You see that here. To look up the inside, and he has to decide, do I want to react to that? Do I close it or just keep on the ideal line? How wet it still is out there. I mean, you see those reflections everywhere. The track is full with water, and every single lap feels a bit different.
Yeah, and we're into the heaviest rain now, aren't we? It's gonna reduce after this. You can see that the final 10 minutes of the race will be less weather. That was almost contact there. Oliveira Rodriguez just sort of backing off as much as he could. He is obviously going to be the race leader, so there's Oliveira Rodriguez now coming out of the pits. So race leader, where's he going to put him out in front of? We'll see. Josh McKean currently the race leader. You can see just about 3 back markers back. I think it's two back markers in there between him and Moreno. So Oliveira Rodriguez comes out. That's going to put him in 6th place after the pit stop. So he's made his first pit stop. Should put himself in a good spot. The question is, can Josh McKean or Moreno make up that space? Well, Moreno said, screw this, I've got too many back markers in front of me, I'm coming to the pits.
Yeah, once again, with the current state of the grid, and with all this mix up now with back markers and the early pit stops, I think Moreno does well there. There wasn't a chance for him to really bring in those lap times. And like I said, he was gaining now a bit on the McKean, half a second in the previous laps. So it's not like McKean is running away, but the gap is still big between them.
And Deutsch putting in about Riley here. Riley does go in the pits in the end, dives in kind of late last minute there. Deutsch was sort of almost in the back of him and did just get out of it. Now, see, as I say that, I think I just saw him someone had spun back there. As we saw Riley going, I saw somebody in the barrier. I didn't see exactly who it is. It's the man in front. I can see just in front there. Who was that? He is wiggling about in front of him. So I think it's not McKean. It's somebody further down. But maybe it was Dave Jr. Yes, it was Dave Jr. that was in the barrier. So a little bit of contact on him again.
Yeah,
maybe a spin on the...
Once again, it was the last corner. It seems like to be very slippery out there right now when it comes to that. Although, as you said, the rain should decrease now. Going forward, we should have less and less water on the track. Josh McKean currently in the lead, obviously, without a pit stop yet. Same for
he's just coming
Deutsch,
in.
by the way.
Just coming in, so really him and Fernando Deutsch, the only two that didn't stop. Rodriguez, oh no, Rodriguez has picked up stop, go 30, that's speeding in the pits. That's what that is, that's a default straight out. Oh, and there's another stop go, Riley. We did say Riley kind of dived in last minute. Speaking of diving in, the greenie just ploughed through the back of him. Who was that? That was that Artie Harrison? Yeah, it was Artie Harrison. Nothing Ari could do about that. Just got straight up T-boned in the back.
Yeah, I think if you looked up the mirror, you probably thought like this is it. Anyway, there's not much to do, and the greenie really went through him like a freight train, just not stopping at all. Like hype train can't be stopped. Unfortunately, that will cost him a ton of time, and probably there was damage on both cars, I would say. McKean, he came out.
He's just coming out the pits.
Where does he come out now?
There goes Rodriguez, just gone past. Where is Moreira? Moreira is just going over the line.
Yes, the purple.
He's going to come out just ahead of him, I think.
Yeah, but the run into turn one is really problematic from the pits here.
Yeah. Where's Moreira? There's Moreira going around the outside. So Moreira just going to be right on his heels. Now the question is McKean going to be up to speed, ready to go here? Because Moreira is going to be all over him.
Yeah, but McKean, at least for now, stays in second with Fidel Moreira right behind him. De Oliveira Rodriguez, he will be happy. So all of that worked out for him. He will stay in the lead of the race for the last 80 minutes. Calvo still fighting with the green who just T-boned Hardison. We saw that previously. He will probably get a penalty for that. Talking about penalties, by now they are a lot, actually.
Yeah, they're going to start stacking up. And Negrini has got that move done. But I can tell you, though, if you looked in the car view, let's have a quick look at, say, Moreira who's following or something like that. Calvo, there you go. It's definitely lessening, isn't it? There's nowhere near as much spray as there was earlier on. So conditions are getting better.
It will be interesting now if it shifts towards Moreira, maybe. We know that De Oliveira is a fast driver. But could Moreira be quicker once it dries up? Seeing here that the car in front, that should be McKean. Yeah, it is. Half a second in between these two drivers chasing down De Oliveira Rodriguez, which is like 9 seconds in total for Moreira. If he wants to have a double win for the first location of the evening, which is Laguna Seca, then he has to overcome these 9
What a great
seconds.
drive. Look at Rodeo on the back of Jonathan Clifford. What a great drive. If you remember, first race in the sprint race, Rodeo was sent off the track and ended up down in 17th position at the end of that race. So he started out in 17th and he's now up to 5th, looking for 4th place as well. Already made that pit stop. So this is a battle for points, and what a magnificent drive from 17th position up to potentially 4th.
Yeah, he's really showcasing his skill right now. And I love that he's already on Clifford. Clifford obviously was part of a lot of fights. Sprint race, feature race, doesn't matter. He was always kind of there. And let's see if Berticelli Rodeo can do that now and drop well within reach for a podium. Because there's still a chance for a podium. Anything can happen with the top three. Like De Oliveira Rodriguez, McKean, Moreira. They will start fighting because Moreira is still hunting down McKean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Moreira is going to be keeping the pressure on him. And obviously for Oliveira Rodriguez, that's fantastic because that's what he wants. He wants second and third to be battling behind him. He's got nearly a 9-second gap between him and Josh McKean. So fantastic gap he's managed to build up. Clearly enjoying these wet weather conditions. And I've got to be honest, Jonathan Clifford, he's under pressure here. Rodeo starting to gain on him. The gap is actually falling from Oliveira as well behind these guys as well, so it's starting to fall as well, although you can see those 15-second penalties start to stack up behind them. I gotta be honest, if I was Calvo now, I'd be thinking, hey, I'm gonna make some places up, this is looking great ahead of me.
Yeah, I think there's a chance, actually, for him to really go through here and gain some more positions. Josh McKee, 17 years old, racing against Fidel Morera, the previous season champion. Let's see how old Fidel is. Real quick, Fidel is 22. That's a race between youngsters, but as I said, like on Josh McKean's list, there's a 2018 National Karting Championship trophy and the participation in the 2022 SRL Esports North America. If we look at Fidel Morera, we're talking about the Rail Race NALA champion 2021, SRL Esports America 5th place 2021, 3 Hours of Monza SRL winner 2021, and a Logitech Challenge finalist. So that is a ton of experience on Fidel Morera, with these 5 years difference between him and Josh McKee.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a man that knows how to get it done, and he's going to be patient enough. He knows he's got, 15 minutes to go still here. He managed to make 8 positions up in 15 minutes in the sprint race, so he knows he's got a chance here. I'm pretty certain first place has slipped away from him, but second place is a potential here. Josh McKean, though, doing a fantastic job, was 5th place in the... sorry, it was 3rd place in the first race overall, which started him in 5th position. I know it was 4th, wasn't it? 4th starts in 5th. There you go, get my numbers right. Reversing numbers always tricky on air.
Or like on air math, we all know that. It's not what you want to do. Definitely not. It is quite dry out there by now. Track also changed from wet to damp. So I wonder, for the last 30 minutes, if we now get the creation of a dry line.
So since Riley had a stop-go penalty which was served, I wonder if he just stuck dry tyres in as well. I'm going to keep my eye on the lap times.
No, he can't serve the penalty and get the tyre change.
You can stop for 30 seconds and then do the tyre change afterwards, can't you?
No.
You have to come in and stop for 30? No? Can you not do it at the same time? You not sit there for 30 seconds?
No, I'm really confused because all the simulations handle it differently.
Yeah, they do it differently.
But no,
I
think
ACC.
You can't. Yeah, it's like you go in there, do the 30 seconds, then you leave again, and then you would need to come into the pits for a 3rd time.
Yeah.
To get the dry tyres. I'm pretty sure that Riley isn't on dryers right now. And Slicks. Jonathan Clifford still is that?
I don't think anyone's going to stop for him.
Is it Botticelli Rodeo right behind him? It is.
It is. Yeah. He's been behind him for a couple of laps now. But he's definitely sniffing the exhaust fumes. Yeah, he's trying his best to get past. But Clifford's doing a great job at defending. In fairness, hasn't really put too much wrong. Has been good in his positioning in the corners. You can see. Let's see what he does here. Kanian with Negrini up behind him, both serving 15-second penalties. That's Negrini going to go through. Looking on the outside here, it's a turn. The final corner, first gear corner, low gear. He definitely put his elbows on that corner, didn't he? Made sure he got enough track.
Yeah, it's like sometimes you have to make clear that you are not willing to just give that up, but they will go side by side into turn 1. Nope, that's didn't really work because the longer way around the outside that costs time.
It's technically turn 2. Turn 1. It's one of those tracks that turn 1 is like the first tiniest little kink on the start.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Just so they can say we've got 11 corners.
Because 10 wasn't enough. Maybe you earn more money if you build a track with 11.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, there must be some reason for it. But yeah, it's not really a corner, is it? The first tiny little kink. But there you go. And they even count. So this is the weird bit, right? Because the corkscrew is technically 3 corners, because obviously it's a curve.
Right
thing.
kink, link, a left, and then all the way down the right.
But it's turn 7, 8, and 8A. It's like, what? If you're going to call that turn 1, why don't you make that turn 9 and say you've got 12 corners? I don't know.
I'll tell you, it's like this. There was a weird way of payment for whoever built the track on the offer and invoice. They were just like, so how can we make that work? How can we make the most out of it?
it's a weird one. It's always weird with some corners. Like some tracks will just not have like a little kick like that. Just they won't count as a corner. And some tracks will. And they'll even name it as a corner as well. It's like, I mean, obviously we go on to Brands Hatch next, which is like full of historic named corners and tracks. Whereas actually, Laguna Seca really doesn't have that many names. I think it's just the Andretti hairpin's really the main one. Obviously the corkscrew and the rainy curve, which is what they're going through now.
Which fits at least.
Yeah,
although
they
not mean rain with that. Actually, the rain curve.
That's the Rahal Strait. They're just about to approach. There you go. There's the four named things on this.
They
track.
added a few more names over the years, so that we have these four.
Well, I mean, it's not as bad as the Nürburgring. It's generally just like sponsors everywhere, isn't it?
Oh, you mean Nürburgring GP? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Nordschleife is different then, though.
Well, that's a bit more historic. Yeah, it's got quite a long weird names. All very German.
All right, Mackie will probably have to defend going into turn 1 and 2 and 3 because Fidel Morera is right behind him while Camera is like, no, rather show you Junior, but we want to see Josh McKean. Wow, Morera really tries to use the maximum of the track, but then he runs into McKean basically right on the apex.
So the track is now just damp. It's just damp now. You can see, and look at it. It's so obvious how much it's dried out already. So the question is, now these tyres, they obviously they have to have a tyre change, don't they? That's forced into it now. The pit stop, they have a tyre change in there as well. So they're actually still probably quite grippy in the wet. But now we're starting to get damp. They might get a little bit more slidey.
It could be, and it's also, it might look a bit drier, but the grip isn't there yet.
Yeah. Because the wets have not gone long enough in the dry that they've sort of smoothed out, as it were, as the way tyres do.
Now let's see, we've got the last 8.5 minutes of the feature race, the first feature race of the night. Morera was a bit deep in the corkscrew, that will cost him time. Wonder if he really wants to risk all of this now. It's like, third is like how many points? We're talking about, let me see.
Ooh, what?
15 points.
We missed overtakes. We missed Clifford. Clifford's down to 6th. He's lost 2 places here. So Rodeo got past him, obviously, up into 4th. Oliveira also has passed him as well. So we've got to see what's happening there, because Clifford also had Negrini right up behind him as well, it seems, or it was back there. So that's a really slow car on the inside. What's that? Car number 19 is a very slow vehicle. That was Gustavo Rodriguez. Just getting out of the way. That's fair play. I can't do anything wrong for him there. He's just getting out of the way of the front runners.
Yeah, I think that was nicely done.
Oh, I suspected this might be the case. So Rodeo did make contact with Clifford. So keep your eyes peeled for another potential 15-second penalty.
That would be so harsh now. I mean, yes, if he deserves it, of course, right? Totally fine. But that was just such a good run for him. I don't want to see that being destroyed by a penalty. We already have 4 of those.
Yeah, after making a run from 17.
That's the replay for it. Let's see. That is Rodeo in the background with a purple and teal car. Did he? Oh, he tapped him on the exit.
Oh,
that was really sad because, to be honest, he had enough space on the inside. Rodeo was really given a lot of space there, but unfortunately,
that's a penalty.
It's like I'll see it saying.
Look at it. It's not going to cost him anything really, other than losing the place to Clifford, because he's so. Everybody else behind has got the 15-second penalty. There you go. There's the 15-second penalty coming in as suspected, and so Clifford actually will be back in 4th place. So with those penalties all out of the way, so he doesn't need to fight so heavily for Vini Oliveira, which he's behind right now.
Let's see how much this will change now. It's like Clifford now the only one, by the way. With the basic top 10, Clifford is like, oh, everyone around me is 15 seconds. Just chill. No worries.
I can afford to crash into someone now. Let's have a look at McKean. Josh McKean still got Morera behind. 5 minutes to go here. Conditions very much dried out now. Look at this. There's no spray at all. We can still see it is a little damp, the rain coming down, but there is 0 spray coming off these cars.
Yeah, definitely is. It changed entirely. We had heavy rain in the beginning of the feature race. Now track is damp and everything is fine. There are still a few drops here and there, as we can see on the windshield of Fidel Moreira. But that's basically it. The view is quite good for him on to Josh McKean. But can he actually catch up to him? It's 5.5 minutes. And so far, I would say, McKean does a great job at keeping Fidel Moreira at bay.
Like a move there. Woodrow fighting off Calvo. We saw Woodrow earlier on. Obviously, he was the man that was holding everyone up, wasn't he? But it gets up to 10th place. So made the move, made it stick. So gets himself higher in the points. And the points do start to mean quite a bit here in the main race as well. It's quite a lot of points up for grabs.
Yeah, they are. And it is so much higher than sprint race in a set with Brands Hatch coming up next. It's 4 races in one evening. 4 opportunities to score points. If you leave Laguna Seca with a nice bag of those, then it should be a lot better heading to Brands Hatch.
McKean holding on. He's going to have the inside line here, but you can see Moreira putting the pressure on. Will be forced around the outside, but he's stuck it out there, hasn't he? He's managed to stay 2 abreast. How is he still out there? I don't know. Will be on the outside now. Is he going to go for the switchback maybe? He's going to go up the hill in towards the corkscrew. Keeping Josh McKean guessing with just 4 minutes to go here. He's keeping the pressure on. Oh, those back markers might play into this.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. They're running into back markers here right as their fight heats up. I actually love that. Yeah,
there's just nothing I hate more than battling for position with back markers in the way, because like I say, you always feel that they benefit the other guy. So he's going to go for the switchback here. Oh, very nicely done, McKean. Just parked it on the corner there. Yeah, Moreira almost certainly going to have contact with him because McKean just basically parked it on the corner. Was going to be much slower on the exit and deliberately blockading Moreira from passing.
Yeah, it's like that was Moreira's first real attempt, I would say, on an attack here towards Josh McKean. It will be interesting to see if he can hold on for just it's 3.5 minutes. That's not that much, although Laguna Seca has a very short lap. So after he did that for so long, they will definitely run to the back markers, probably next lap.
Yeah, I'm just wondering who they are actually in front of them. I think that's a battling pair. I'm wondering if it's not Woodrow, it's not Calvo, Artie Harrison maybe? How far back are we here? Or is it even further forward? Is it Bauman? It's Bauman and Dave Jr. That's it. It's Bauman and Dave Jr. So 14th and 15th position, battling for position ahead of them, which actually, if I'm not mistaken, is a points differential between 14th and 15th. So, oh my word, look at the damage on Bauman's car though. That front bonnet wants to have a conversation with you, Rene.
Yeah, definitely, and it needs to be fixed. And we also see that as a splitter and some of the flicks left and right. They're not in great shape. It's an expensive car, Max. Like, don't treat it badly, especially since the shapes are that great. But they are still fighting. And you say it's just a point in between them. But hey, the point is a point. These guys want to race.
And these guys really want to race behind them. 2 minutes to go here, so that's going to equate to about 2 more laps. 1:28 is the lap timer, so Oliver Rodriguez will be there. Moreira once again trying to go wide and switch back in there, maybe looking towards those back markers to see what sort of advantage he can have from this one as Josh McKean tries to set it up. He's just trying to be as defensive as he can. He wants to hang on to that second place.
It definitely looks good. McKean does an amazing job right now.
Flashing, get out of my way!
The long game, tries to get everyone out of the way though now, as he set Bauman and Jr. right in front of them. And he must be afraid of that. You come in there, you've got someone like Fidel Moreira right on your back, breathing down your neck, someone that has all the experience that is needed to make the move late in the race. Can McKean at least pass Bauman right now? He's flashing lights angrily again. It seems like Moreira tapping.
Moreira contacted, yeah, he
Bauman
contacted
there.
Side, yeah. I mean, luckily the battle had kind of ran out. Bauman had lost position to Dave Jr., but yeah, he tried to get out of the way there, but I think Moreira took more space than he possibly required.
Yeah, Moreira's obviously on the run. That's the last minute of the race. They will get one more lap. Or where's De Oliveira Rodriguez right now? Do they get 2 laps? Could they get 2?
No, he's just gone over the line. So
Okay.
44 seconds here. So yeah, he won't get a second one done.
Okay, then this is the last lap, and we should go back to Moreira McKean probably. Yep, there it is. Moreira had a good exit, I would say. He was trying 2-3 times by now. Turn 1, that's normally where Moreira goes a bit more to the outside than everyone else. Launching it around the outside, actually. McKean, maybe to save on the inside there with his braking point, but luckily the short away saving him here. So he's parking the car once again right in front of Vidal Moreira, and he's remaining in second position. But that was the first clear sign here by Moreira, how good he is under braking. Maybe the switcheroo
Oh,
could
he
work.
set it up, I think. I think he set it up perfectly. He set him on the outside. Okay, is it going to be enough? It's going to be the outside here, and it will be the outside the next corner. Yeah, he's realised he's going to try and switch it back inside, and okay, up the hill we go. Into the corner, round here, then up the hill to the corkscrew, and the Rahal straight. So, I'll tell you what, I think he's too far back now. He's going to have the corkscrew perfectly executed to be on the back of him going into turn 11. That's really where he can get it done now, that final corner. And I don't think he's close enough.
Yeah, final corner, at least for now, looks unlikely, but depends on these two flowing ones. We really have to take on a lot of momentum, not stopping the car, but it's Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez crossing the line as the feature race winner here in Laguna Seca. That's 25 points for him. But who will get the next point? Will it be Josh McKean or will it be Vidal Moreira? It looks like McKean is getting those points. In total, we're talking about 18 here, and he gets it. McKean 18, Vidal Moreira 15, plus his 16 points off the sprint race win. So he's looking at a healthy bunch of points, I would say, coming out of Laguna Seca. And Berticelli Rodeo, unfortunately, with a 15-second penalty, but I think he will not drop far. That was because he really did a good race. It was such a shame that in the end he had to tap one of the drivers.
Yeah, he'll lose a place, that's all. Clifford will move back up to fourth position, I believe. And then, yeah, he'll just drop one place. But still, 17th to 5th, I think he's going to be happy with that race. Oliveira as well, 14th up to 6th place it will be. Negrini finishing in style there as he goes over the line. Ryan Woodrow back in 10th as well. So what a great race. What a great race. And congratulations to Igor, because what a fantastic race he ran. Just ran away with it from the start. We were talking about, you know, how sometimes you have that switch position, but he got that pole position and absolutely blitzed it. Seemed to be excelling in the rain. Now, Felipe Roberto, the man that in the end got the fastest lap, a 128.3, stole it towards the end there. Only just pipping Oliveira Rodriguez. The problem is that his average laps were just so much quicker than everyone else, which is why you can see it was a 15-second gap at the end, ahead of second place. That's a mighty, mighty run for first place.
Yeah, your mental game must be very strong to ensure that you get those average laps that high as De Oliveira Rodriguez did. And as he said, he started from pole, he managed to race well, he took the pit stop at just the right moment, and even with someone like Vidal Moreira or Clifford and all these guys right behind him sometimes catching up, we never saw him really struggle. Like, he was in full control of his pace, and for most of the time the pace of the rest of the grid. So he really deserves the 25 points here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him in Brands Hatch.
Yeah, Brands Hatch is going to be interesting. We expect it to be wet once again. A very tricky track to overtake, but it is absolutely possible. We said the same with the Laguna Seca, and they were overtaking just about every corner they could think of. Lots of side-by-side action. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I just like Brands Hatch because, first of all, turn 1 is amazing. Then the hairpin, like 180 degrees, you can really dive deep into that. There's a lot of space to go over the curbs on the inside. On the outside, when exiting the turn, there's a chance. And then you have this 90-degree left-hander where you can really launch it up the inside if you feel brave that day. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for the drivers we had here. And as I said, we saw Laguna Seca being side-by-side for most of the time in the first 15-20 minutes. So I'm absolutely sure that the sprint race Brands Hatch, that will be decided by a split second.
Yeah, it's going to be close. Like I say, it's such a small, short, tight little compact circuit. I think you're going to be looking at similar lap times to Laguna Seca. You know, like you say, I mean, I was there, it was 1986. 1986. Were you born then? Don't think you were you?
1988.
Yeah, 1986 I was there. It was the last Formula 1 at Brands Hatch. Was the last time I was there. There was a massive crash in that corner that you were talking about. This is the highlights from the race, though. It all started off so well, and Igor Oliveira Rodriguez did fantastically well from the very beginning. I still question Negrini there at the start, whether he was actually ahead of Oliveira Rodriguez when he went over the line. I still think he was.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. It's like, that looked really weird in terms of the start, but Negrini didn't get a penalty. It didn't really matter in the end. Also didn't, right? Oliveira Rodriguez remained in the lead after the first 3 corners and was able to bring that home, but still, that's something to be looked into, I would say. And not that he's doing it again in Brands Hatch and figuring out how to get it done. Without the game giving you a penalty.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, we'll see. It's like, who's getting pole actually on Brands Hatch?
Yeah, well, they did the qualification yesterday, so this was some of the fights from earlier on. There was plenty of them, wasn't there? And you can see just how some of them, oh my god, it's getting squirrely under braking as they go into that corner. You can see the car wriggling and writhing around because they're hard on the brakes into the wet corners. But I think that was Clifford, if I'm not mistaken, that's sort of setting the train there as they all sort of piled on round, who actually did very well come the main race. Ended up in, well, after the penalties, ended up in 4th.
They all did a good job there. It's such a big group, and then with all the water spray that you get with the current conditions that change on every session, basically. So it wasn't easy to know exactly how the car will react, and then seeing everyone being that close together and fighting for corner after corner, that is really good in terms of skill and respect towards the other drivers. Love seeing that, and I'm super happy with what we got from Laguna Seca. This should be Fidel Moreira on Josh McKean. What's the last corner? Look at it's like he was tapping him, and then it's like, all right, can't do that. I think he lifted. I think Moreira lifted there.
He did, yeah.
Avoiding a penalty. That was a smart decision by him. And yeah, it will pay off in the overall standings that we have for you right now after the first location of the evening, after our first 2 races at Laguna Seca. So Fidel Moreira leading with 31 points over Igor Oliveira Rodriguez on 29. Then it's Josh McKean, Jonathan Clifford, Ryan Woodrow. So far at the top 5.
Yeah, great to see some competition for Moreira as well. So, as I say, Oliveira Rodriguez was there or thereabouts last season as well. Josh McKean's he's come in really well. Done very well across both races. Jonathan Clifford obviously benefiting from the multitude of penalties that were were the 6 drivers around him as gained those 2 places. In fairness, it was Clifford that got punted by Rodeo. Rodeo, what a great comeback though from him. From 17th, he got sent off the track in the sprint race, which, it's like a double penalty, right? Because you get, A, you're losing points in that race, and B, your standings carry over into the main race. So he's had to put a lot of work in to get from 17th back up to 5th place where he finished.
It's all about never giving up, and I think it shows well here with the points. So there will be more racing action coming your way as we now pack all of the Lamborghini Huracán Super Trofeo EVO2s back in, I don't know, big containers probably, put them on a plane, and then head over from Laguna Seca back to the rainy, maybe sunny, UK racing on Brands Hatch with a sprint and feature race coming away right after the break. Welcome back to Lamborghini The Real Race 2022. If you just joined us by now, then you missed two great races at the Laguna Seca racetrack. But don't you worry, we've got another two lined up just for you. Sprint race and feature race in Brands Hatch, because the new format has two tracks, which is kind of cool, right? There are a lot of points on the line and way more racing action for you to witness. And Lee, we also introduced a new thing this season, which is kind of special content where people show us the rigs, and today actually they can send us some questions, or they did send us some questions, and we will try answering them. Are you fine with that?
We'll try answering them. We'll see what we got. First one for you, Rene. Can drivers get offers from this?
I mean, we know that, yes, the driver winning the final has a chance to sign with Lamborghini eSports team for the next season. So he or she will represent Lamborghini in sim racing eSports tournaments. Could there be other signings? Who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, just look at the guys that are with Lamborghini now. Obviously, winners from last season.
Yeah.
There you go. What's the next question?
Next question is for you. Prince ask, who do you guys think will win it?
Well, I'm going to say Moreira again. I'm going to say the returning champion. He's looked like he's still on form for me. Obviously, he's currently leading in the points after winning the sprint race, getting third place in the main race. Could have potentially got second. Maybe just a little impatient towards that final corners. But yeah, he's still looking great, isn't he?
It definitely does. I think Moreira is in a good spot. De Oliveira Rodriguez? See, maybe Brands Hatch exactly his.
All right, Rene. What is the best driving console out there? I got to assume, as in the console to Dre out there. I don't know.
If we talk console like game consoles, then let's be honest here. Doesn't really matter. ACC, so Assetto Corsa Competizione, the sim that we play here or use for this tournament, can be played on Xbox and PlayStation. If you need any other decision making, then always keep in mind, if you go the PlayStation route, then you have Gran Turismo. If you go the Xbox route, then you have Forza. So I think both consoles, if you want to get into racing and even sim racing, they're totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I would say, consoles are usually the cheaper option, but they're pretty expensive as well as PCs these days. But you can use all the same peripherals as well.
Next one is for you, actually.
Yeah, okay.
Because they decided that if I go for a 4-hour answer of how to get into motorsport, that's way too much. So what does it take to enter Motorsport League?
I mean, as a man that runs his own motorsport team, you would probably be better suited for this one. But if you would like to try and enter the world of Lamborghini motorsport, and it would be quite an expensive route, the best way to start would be the Super Trofeo Cup car. Don't get me wrong, it's going to cost a lot of money to get in there to start with. Racing is all about sponsorships. You can, of course, reach out to teams. Maybe they're looking for a driver. If you've got the level of experience, it's quite a small percentile, because if I'm not mistaken, you need to have the right license as well to get in there, and that's quite a stepping stone process in itself. Obviously, the Super Trofeo, they compete in obviously Europe and North America, so worldwide really. And then obviously the different levels of participants. So there's a chance, if you're a fantastic young driver, you've done a lot of go-karting in your past, you've got the licenses, then sure, maybe you could get out there. All right, Rene. I had the hard one, so you're going to get an easy one. Are you planning to get more involved in sim racing in the future? And this is really about our Lamborghini planning to get more involved in sim racing.
Yeah, because I can't get more involved in the sim racing.
Yeah, you couldn't get more.
I think with 15 years plus, won't get more than that. But for sure, Lamborghini will definitely continue their involvement in SRO Esports Championship, also in the coming season, which is great because that's a very interesting series to watch. They are also working on other competitions and titles using there. So there's, for example, we know already the Asphalt 9 will have a Lamborghini competition on it, which I really like, because that's completely different players that will get involved then and have their chance to do something with Lamborghini. Other cool projects, but we can't say a lot about that currently, so maybe next show, who knows. And last but not least, Lamborghini is obviously evaluating the steps to take into other sim racing titles, such as iRacing, for example. Depends on if their car does great on grass. So that is basically the answer.
You beat me to it.
I knew that you wanted to go there, and I was like, I see this coming.
But either way. Renee, we're moving on. We're going back to the UK. I've not been there for a while, to be fair.
Yeah, your country. Yeah, I'm not even sure if they would accept you as a citizen anymore because you didn't have.
Because I've got my German ID card now. Yeah, so
yeah, a long time.
I left with Brexit.
But Brands Hatch is our next location that we will visit, which is good. So let's have a quick look at this iconic circuit. As I said, 1986 last time Formula 1 raced here, but GT races still happen regularly on this little UK tracks. Only 9 corners, so someone did not get as much money as whoever built Laguna Seca. We now know it's down. It's down to the pure corner numbers, but all of that with a lot of banking, and I love that, especially last corner with this like outside hanging banking. Lovely.
So this is prime example, by the way, comparing it to Laguna Seca, right? So we're coming around, I think that's Westfield, and then it goes around the Dingledale, which is like, look, it's literally little corner, but they don't count them as corners. Take note, people that make these tracks. Whereas they count that as a corner, that's it. It's the Dingledale, then it goes around the Sheen and into Stirling's here. Like I say, all the corners have got like legendary names. You know, after Stirling Moss, there's the Clark Curve. You know, after Jim Clark, and Brabham Straight after the Brabham. The Graham Hill Bend. So and Surtees. It's got everything in there. Legendary, iconic English and UK drivers from the years in the past. And like you say, you know, it is a fantastic track. It's a very tricky one. I'm watching him in practice right now. It's wet, especially when you're talking about. I think it's the Paddock Hill Bend. It's the first one. It's it sort of dips down and round, and in the wet that can be so treacherous because you could just lose the back end. I think we're going to see someone go out there, if not, you know, a couple. Yeah. I think it's going to be very interesting.
It definitely is a cool track, and to warm up ourselves kinda, to be ready for the track and be ready to tackle on the action, we once again got Gianfranco Giglioli, the esports driver from Lamborghini, showing us around.
Hi everyone, my name is Gianfranco Giglioli, official Automobili Lamborghini eSports driver, and today I will show you a lap around Brands Hatch. Let's go on board. So here we go with our lap in Brands Hatch. The Race of Champions it was called. The first corner is very tricky, 4th gear, and stay in 4th. You have to touch the inside curb and use all the track on the exit, all the possibility of the track. Again, 2nd gear in this hairpin, cleaning the throttle. 3rd, 4th, 3rd gear, and yeah, again, use all the track possible. Stay wide and late stretch the corner, 2nd gear, and then down the hill, totally flat out. Again, be careful with this understeer, 4th gear, stay as much stretch as possible using all the track, 3rd gear. And then a very tricky corner, this one. In 3rd gear you have the grass on the outside. Be careful because it's easy to make a huge mistake. 2nd gear and inside curve, outside curve, and again into the last corner. Seems easy but it isn't because the car has understeer. And the 3rd gear, wide and stretch, again to end the lap in Brands Hatch. So that was a lap around Brands Hatch. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Good luck to all the drivers and see you the next one with the real race. Ciao.
Now we know the venue that we will tackle in the upcoming 2 races, which means we go over to the drivers that will have to be probably in rainy Brands Hatch on the limit again. And we start off with the one and only Fidel Moreira, 22 years young, and the reigning champion of the region.
Yes, the champion last season, and pipped it in the final one in there. Dave Jr., we saw him involved in a fair bit, didn't we, last race? He was sort of caught up with a keep an eye for him, whether he's still going to be in the green Lamborghini. Brendan Baker, I don't remember seeing him. I'm not going to lie, I don't remember seeing him. Maybe he didn't turn up for the first race. He's not in their server right now. Fernando Deutsch, there we go. The oldest man in the server, keeping it real for the rest of us.
Yeah, absolutely appreciate that he's here and racing. Daniel de Oliveira, he's another SRO race winner, by the way, from 2021. Was also the Logitech Wildcard Brazil winner. Max Bachmann, we saw him struggling a bit, 33 years old, so that's kind of my age. So he was struggling at Laguna Seca. Maybe Brands Hatch will work a bit better for him. Where is he starting this time? He's actually starting 17th. Alright, so De Oliveira Rodriguez on pole. And that is a first clear sign towards Fidel Moreira, who's just in 6th.
Yeah, absolutely. So, here we go. We saw Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez run away with it. You know, from first to first, pole to win. And did very well in the wet. We just saw how it's done in the dry. Gianfranco showing us basically how it's done in the dry. It is a tricky corner, tricky corners in this circuit. There's some that you think you can maybe take quicker than you can, and now I'm thinking, especially in the wet, this is going to be a tricky conditions. The very first corner, Paddock Hill Bend. Keep your eyes on it. It dips away, and it can be tricky in the dry, and it's treacherous in the wet. And then, of course, everybody's going to be ascending it into Druids, which is the big hairpin down the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, turn 1 will be crucial for Clifford and De Oliveira Rodriguez. Let's see if De Oliveira Rodriguez manages this time to go over the liners first, because Nickerini probably stole away from him last race. But we got green lights here at Brands Hatch for first sprint race. 15 minutes of racing action. Clifford straight onto the rear fender there of De Oliveira Rodriguez, but he's fenced around. That's a big one. Everyone trying to get past. Big shunt in the background. That's the end for Clifford. Jonathan Clifford not even managing half a lap. And with that, giving De Oliveira Rodriguez, Mackie, Nickerini a big chance here to score against him before going into the feature race.
Yeah, that didn't go well at all. I mean, we thought there might be someone that gets caught out with it. Unfortunately, it's Jonathan Clifford, one of our top 10 drivers from the previous race as well. Finished off 4th in the main race, but he's going to have to recover because that'll be where he'll be starting in the main race. So he may have to do what Rodeo had to do in the previous race and really work his way back up there. Great run from Karnin there on the back of Moreira, trying to keep him in check, but Oliveira Rodriguez, he's already off, isn't he? He's gone. 1.2 seconds ahead. We're still in the first lap.
Yeah, it is Brands Hatch, but he probably was the only one that didn't have to take evasive action there when Clifford spun around. And that pace of big now for him. McKean right behind that. Moreira obviously gained a position. Did he stay up?
He thought it was iRacing. No, he went on the grass. What's going on there? Where was he off to? Negrini trying to cool his tyres, I guess. But either way, Rodeo, he's keeping him in check, and there is a small gap forming. And see whether Moreira can keep up here. But as I say, as they complete the first lap and start on their way back down the hill, we've got to see what Clifford's going to do, because he's going to be in all sorts of trouble. That looked like Moreira went right there. I think he did. Is that ridiculous? Yeah, he's just, what's happened there? He's just completely... He's done something bad. Okay, so he's either locked up somewhere, because he was over a second ahead a minute ago. Igor was. So Igor's had some sort of problem on the second lap, because he's got Josh McKean all over his rear fender.
It's really sad now, because he was running away, right? That was looking good for him, and now all of a sudden he's back with the pack and probably has to start fighting again. Unless McKean can't even get the grips now and even start anything towards that.
I got to assume, I think it may be into the Graham Hill Bend, which is the third corner. You know, after you've gone around the hairpin, you come up the hill, you take that left, and sometimes if you run it wide, you'll end up on the grass, and I've got to assume that's what's happened, and he's just had to sort of wriggle it to get back on. To lose like a second and a half, which is what he's done, it's got to be something similar around there, because I know we're sort of coming around the back end of the circuit. He's definitely seen me gaining here, but apparently, have we got replay for it? I think we might.
Yeah, replay obviously would be appreciated for what happened there.
Nothing they could see. Okay, well, Negrini is fighting for it, that's for sure. He's up alongside Josh McKean here as they come into the first corner, angling it round and then down into the hairpin. He's going to hold it out there, and you can see Rodeo looking to follow him through. That sends McKean wide, and Rodeo goes through as well, flashing as much as he liked, but he may well lose out to Moreira as well. Moreira looking up the inside. Josh McKean's fending for position, losing 2 places.
McKean was trying everything here, but it just did not work out. That was harsh, I would say. But he will be dropping again, and with that, Fidel Moreira is once again right behind. A feeling that he should be used to from the Laguna Seca race that we just had. And I love how Botticelli Rodeo is once again in this and now on a podium spot.
Well, Negrini's going to get the 15-second penalty. I can tell you that's probably for the hit on Jonathan Clifford in the second corner on the first lap, where that contact happened. So that's Negrini going to fall way down. May even put him in below, down to sort of 10th position. Depends. Obviously, it is only a 15-minute race, and they are pretty well bunched up. Nobody's really running away with it at this stage. So that's going to hurt quite a lot, I would say, for Negrini, a man that had a penalty in the first and second race as well. He's collecting them at the moment.
Yes, there's a lot of action once again, but we talked about that. The 50-minute race doesn't leave you much to play with. Like, if you want to make a move, do it right away, because you will run out of time fairly soon. And talking about time with Negrini getting the 15 seconds, De Oliveira Rodriguez is probably having a relaxed track day experience right now in front. He could be able.
He is now.
Yeah, but at least for now. We don't know what happens, but with McKean already being busy with Botticelli and Moreira, I don't expect anyone to really get close to that.
Yeah, he's now gone because they're all fighting behind him, so he's going to be happy with that when Negrini sort of getting past. Rodeo, what a great drive from him in the main race. Great to see him back in that position as well, sort of fighting with the front pack, because I feel that's where he deserved. For me, he was probably driver of the day in terms of the sort of the main race. Obviously, overall, it's definitely been the points has gone. McKean actually, is he going to be able to get past here? He's going to be on the outside, isn't he? Coming into the next corner, I don't think he's going to be able to hold it. Yeah, has to sort of give up. I think there's that Surtees, I think it is. Oh, he's on the. Who's that? Negrini on the grass there, thinking he was in the wrong game, just sending it a little wide.
Yeah, luckily he was able to catch that once again and stay here within that fighting group. But he's now right in front of Fidel Moreira, who's kind of getting a new victim every single time, but so far didn't make any move. He went past... Who's that in the background? Oh, that's Roberto in the background of Fidel Moreira. I wonder if he can get involved here with only 9 minutes on the clock. And it's just a great fighting group to witness here for our first race in Brands Hatch, where it is rainy. So it seems to be the topic of our last shows. This one here, Nala Region, 2 wet races. We also had the EMEA one, while David Calvo has to defend against Junior here into turn 1 down the hill. You said that there is really tough because there could be water standing basically when you come down there. Calvo looking up the inside, not going for it though. Was a bit risky. He would have had to cut over the curbs way too much, probably not getting the traction and not winning anything.
No, absolutely. 3-second lead already for Oliveira Rodriguez. He's going to be delighted with that. We'll see what he can do, whether he can keep hold of it. 8 minutes to go. Ooh, someone just run wide at the back there. That was a yellow car. I think it was Michael Moaning maybe. It looks like it was. Yeah, he's in the yellow Lamborghini. I feel it was him that's just ran wide further back there. Josh McKean now got that second place back. That's Rodeo going wide as well, so he going wide on the grass. He's just hanging on in there. Oliveira Rodriguez, that's a back marker, was that? Or has he just lost a load of time again? That was a back marker, I believe it was. Yeah, it was a back marker somewhere further back, so he's managed to get past. I didn't see who that was already. But Ryan Woodrow, he's been involved in a fair bit, always been around that 9th, 10th spot like he was previously. He's got Oliveira just ahead of him as well, all sort of stacking up in a little train forming behind Karnin. So he's starting to form a bit of a train, about 5 cars.
Yeah, it's always these groups are not the same people, I got the feeling. And they seem to have a good run here. The race still very much on the clean side. Let's be really, Laguna Seca, a lot of fighting. Yeah, there was a bit of bump and run here and there. And I think 2 bigger accidents, more or less. But so far, I mean, there's 15,000 on the line here, 5k per region, top 6 get it, they're split up, and still these drivers are absolutely maxed out, really delivering a good race here. Morera now on 4th, trying to close the nearly a second gap to Botticelli, Rodeo here, and then McKean. But I feel like, as long as De Oliveira Rodriguez doesn't make a mistake here, that could be his second win of the day.
Down the long straight into Hawthorns. Overtaking opportunities are a bit tricky there. As much as it's a long straight, often you'd have a long straight and people would be dipping into it. But because it's such a smooth corner, it's not. It's also a bit. It's almost a bit of a blind bend as it just sort of dips away. There's more of a third gear. I think we saw a third gear from Gianfranco earlier on. Tricky corner, and if you do go wide, you'll find yourself on the grass and you'll lose your rear end very quickly if that happens. So this is why we're seeing these guys not really having many chances of overtaking and getting past. It can sometimes be a bit like that at the circuit. It is a very thin circuit as opposed to some of the really wide tracks you get these days, the more modern tracks.
It is obviously more complicated to maneuver around, and as I said previously, with all the banking that Brands Hatch throws at drivers, you really have to know where to position your car, because you want to use that banking to get a good run out of a corner, to be able to accelerate a bit quicker, just as if you would be around the outside, not being hooked into the banking at all. But 5.5 minutes still on the clock, and Morera definitely closed the gap to Botticelli Rodeo. So this fight is on, and it will definitely still happen within this race.
Can he get that podium position? 5 minutes to go. That equates to around about 3 laps. So we're banking it around 1:30 a lap here, 1:29. Very similar to Laguna Seca in terms of lap times. A very short circuit in comparison to sort of the more modern tracks, I guess you could say, even if you were to compare it to, say, Spa or something like that, obviously. Not even that modern, more of just long historic tracks. Why these tracks fell off the Formula 1 calendar? Because they felt it needed expanding. As Karnin really having to be defensive now. Oliveira all over the back of him. Ryan Woodrow stacked up, waiting to go. Calvo, Dave Jr. all stacked up, waiting to see if they can get past Karnin. Holding for that position now. Remember, 7th and 8th, that is going to be on the front row of the grid at the start of the main race. One man that knows what that's all about is this man, Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez, who is running away with the sprint race here and will be our back-to-back winner after winning the main race in Laguna Seca.
Yes, he deserves this once again. He plays it very well, ensuring that he stays out of trouble. Obviously, he got lucky with the spin that we saw earlier from Clifford, if I remember that correctly. Because that kind of created the first bit of a gap for him, and since then he's managing it, and his pace is impressive. 3.3 seconds already over McKean, who's definitely not one of those slow drivers out there. It's a quick one. Botticelli behind that, Morera behind it, so maybe De Oliveira Rodriguez is just out there looking for revenge. He did not win the first season against Morera, and now he wants to make sure right from the get-go that he is the favourite.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do, there's no doubt about it. Starting from 8th position in the main race will be tough. It will be tough for him. That's where he finished, if you remember, in the sprint race. So he's going to have a lot of work to do, but they'll have 45 minutes to do it. Still just 3 minutes remaining in this race at the moment. And the battle for 4th and 3rd position just ahead of him. You can see Philippe Roberto not giving up on this one. He's trying to put a challenge on Morera right now with the Greenie, who lost all those positions further back. This is the next pack, as it were, and it's a pack that is falling apart. It does look like Ryan Woodrow has got past them, so Ryan Woodrow, he's done a double overtake there. Oliveira was in there with him. Oliveira's managed to sneak on by as well, so they've all got past now, and Calvo doing what they can. I think that's Dave Jr. and Calvo further back that's sort of sweeping around. And they all, just with the last few minutes, that's when everybody starts to get a little apprehensive and start making some rash moves.
Yes, there's not much time if you want to get some more points here. 16 points obviously would go towards De Oliveira Rodriguez. 17 total, because he will get 1 point for the pole position as well. But everyone else up to 15th position can still improve, right? They can still get more points. 15th, that's hardest right now. Who's hunting down Rodriguez, and there's still 8th position to get pole position in the main race, right, which is Ryan Woodrow right now in front of Oliveira and Negrini. So this race is far from over, even if we only have 2 minutes on the clock. And I wonder if someone really goes for that one last launch the inside, kind of being like, okay, what could we do? I will just risk it now, because it might decide if I still have a chance going into the feature race.
I mean, I gotta be honest, if you're in the top 8, a risky move right now is a bit dangerous, because it could cost you a position in that top 8 starting for the 45-minute race, where you've got to be thinking that's where the real points can be made. Obviously, there's still a decent amount of points here. Moreira is certainly not giving up on this one. He's keeping the pressure onto Rodeo, who's doing a fantastic job. Moreira now needs to be a little bit more defensive, because Roberto looking at him. There's Josh McKean, so we're going into what I assume will be the final lap here. We may get one more. Where's Rodrigo? Ooh, I tell you what, we might get another lap here. I think we will. 112 to go, 129 on the laps. I think we might just go over the line before the time runs out. As I say that, he nearly lost his car there.
Ooh.
So maybe, and that's Josh McKean right up behind him. So that was a real big mistake there from Oliveira Rodriguez. Luckily for him, he'd built up enough of a bank that he could afford to make it.
Yeah, but you don't want to show that even to McCain, because then he knows, like, hey, Oliveira Rodriguez, he can make mistakes, and you might want to pressure him more in the main race, in our feature race coming up next, the 45-minute one, to get him to lose a spot. But obviously, he will start 8th, and the real interesting thing for us is now, Moreira showed that he can, like, have a lot of overtaking done. Easy. But did we see that from Oliveira Rodriguez so far? I don't think so. And I really wonder, like, he has now 2 wins to his name if he finishes that lap without smashing the car on the way. Can he get the same gains as Moreira did previously? Because he will need that to catch up in points.
Yeah, and I think with that little wiggle, see, now he's not going to be able to get over the line. I think without that, we would have had another lap, and that's cost it. So that's the finish of the race. I think we would have had another lap there, but either way, we'll go over in the lead. It is going to be Rodeo in 3rd, Josh McKean was 2nd, Moreira in 4th place, Roberto in 5th, and Negrini with a penalty in 6th place. That's probably going to send him a little further down, which actually means I suspect that we're going to have Carnahan, who's currently down in 9th place. I think he's going to be our pole sitter, as that will move him up into 8th place for that penalty being served. And I think we're going to find out that Carnahan will be starting out on pole position in the main race.
Yeah, and that also means front row for Ryan Woodrow, which will be pretty much appreciated by Ryan. So he can finally get a shot there and see if he can maybe make something from the front row happening, right? Oliveira Rodriguez did twice now. And as I said, the biggest difference now is Moreira starting further up front compared to Oliveira Rodriguez. And so far, I think we didn't see much overtaking from Oliveira. So I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, if you think of the sprint race, obviously he finished 8th. That's why he started on pole in the main race. So he was involved in it. But as you say, like, he can set the pace. But clearly, that's 2 errors that he made on this 15-minute sprint race. It's a tricky track in the wet. It is only damp right now. I wonder if it's going to get wetter. Like it did in Laguna Seca. We moved from a damp track to a very wet track. Of course, the time moves on. From what I remember, it is sprint race starts at 2 p.m. Main race starts at 3 p.m. is the way it works in server time. And that's how it works. So Negrini's penalty actually put him down to P12 in the end there. So as I said, Carnahan will be starting out on pole position. It moves him to 8th.
Yeah, Negrini will not be happy about that. It seems like it's not really his weekend, I would say. He was always up there at the front, able to maybe come home with a lot of points, but it didn't really happen.
While that's a problem for him, it put him to 12th. Let's face it, poor old what's his name ended up down in 17th. Jonathan he punted on the first corner, so. Like 15-second penalty. Oh no, he's down to 12th. The guy you sent off the track is now starting 17th in the main race. That's not great.
No, it isn't. But what is great is that we're getting closer to our feature race. 45 minutes of racing action. The last race of the day. And Brands Hatch coming your way right after another short break. back again for a last time of tonight's stream here at Lamborghini The Reader Race 2022. We are done with Laguna Seca. We also had our first race already at Brands Hatch, the 15-minute sprint race won by De Oliveira Rodriguez. No, there's not a second D in there. And it's still covered by Lee and me, Renee, bringing you all the action for the last race of 45 minutes here at, which looks like a rainy Brands Hatch once again.
It is wet. It was damp in the first one. It's wet now. So, yeah, it's looking like it is going to be a wet race. As we pretty much expected, right? We're in the UK. We expect it to be wet. Just going to throw it out there. But here we go. Let's have a look at some of the drivers. Michael Monin, look out for him in the yellow Lamborghini. We've seen him off track a few times. The 17-year-old American has had a few issues, but overall, he's been in and around there in the top 10.
Yeah, actually it says career highlights, participated in Forza Motorsport Championship. Would love to know which one. Gustavo Rodriguez, 27 years old, and with the coolest job in it. We talked about, we had Flight Simulator technician, but he's the one that can actually make use of all of this in real life because he's a taxi driver.
Yeah,
he knows how to get through traffic.
I've been in some quick taxis in my time. I suspect they'd be pretty good sim racers as well. Yeah, in some of the countries I've visited. But yeah, he certainly could put his apex moves into good use when he's out in the car.
Definitely, I think that will work well for him. David Calvo, another of the older semesters here in the race, and once again, I think that's why Lamborghini eSports is really cool, because we have these big gaps sometimes in terms of age. 40 years old, and he actually is an administrative assistant in a construction company, so maybe he can build himself a plan or a big ladder to make it to the top.
Or a track.
Or track himself. Oh, could he become a track designer? Who knows?
He could be a track designer. There you go. See,
I'm fine with that.
All these job opportunities we're giving them. Here's Fernando Deutsch. We had him earlier on. 53 years old, the oldest driver. Actually, in the whole series, I think. I'm trying to think if there's nobody else older. There is a few 40. There's a 42-year-old in the EMEA, or is it APAC? I'm not sure. But there's hope for me. I'm just dipping under that by a few years, but it's all good. It's all good. So obviously didn't have the greatest race in the in Laguna Seca. Got caught out a couple of times. Someone that did have a great race is Daniel de Oliveira Rodriguez. Sorry, that's not Daniel. That's Daniel de Oliveira. Oh my God, I've tripped myself up. And you know why? Because Daniel de Oliveira is not racing today. He
isn't, because we always had 3 Oliveiras in there.
Yes.
De Oliveira Rodriguez, Oliveira, and De Oliveira.
Yes. And it always used to trip us up. So now it's actually tripped me up by him not even being here. Max Baumann has been here, that's for sure, as he just joins the server, actually. Exactly that. 33-year-old from the United States. And his favourite Lamborghini, the 1971 Miura. That's the old classic, isn't it? They're very expensive these days, those things, to get hold of. Incredibly, they're collector's items.
Which makes absolute sense, right? I mean, they're part of history of Lamborghini, which is a very exclusive sports car brand, right? We don't have to talk about that. They do sexy cars. They're all of them, guys. There's no way around that. And they also do the Lamborghini Huracán Super Trofeo EVO2. That's the one we're racing today. That's just making sure they get all of that in the right order. But we did. Would you rather, if you could choose any Lamborghini, will you go for a modern one or an older one?
I'd go modern. I like, don't get me wrong, it's like I love the historic cars out there, and there's a lot of fantastic historic cars, but I'd always take a modern car. I'd always take a modern one.
Which one?
They're going to be better, right? They're always going to be better. Well, obviously we'd go the Super Trofeo too, right? It makes sense. This makes sense. It's what we're watching. It's what we're racing in. What would you go with? What would you go with? Come on.
I first have to go through the grid, because Carlin is actually leading this time with Rodero in the first row. Then it's Oliveira third and Roberto fourth. Fidel Morera in fifth. Balicelli Rodeo in sixth. McKean seventh. And then De Oliveira Rodriguez, the winner of the last 2 races that we saw tonight. He is in eighth. So let's see how far along he can come. And by the way, I would go for... It's hard. I kind of wanted Diablo SV.
Oh yeah, that's a classic these days, I guess.
Which was the cover car of Need for Speed.
Yeah, when you were a kid, yeah.
Absolutely loved that one. Have to say though that I also really like. I wouldn't go for the Huracán actually. I think we'll go older than that. Murcielago maybe. Are they
Okay,
all?
I guess it'd be the classic would be the Countach for me when I was younger. That'd be the classic. From
That's fine. I would prefer the Diablo, even if many people might not want to kill me, but.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
It was a few years on after that. Yeah, I mean, like for me, I'd always go for whatever the latest and greatest is. I would, because they're always going to be fantastic. Monster cars these are. Let's get into the race, ladies and gentlemen, because we're about to get lights out and ready for the 45 minutes of Brands Hatch action. Karnin starting on the front row alongside Ryan Woodrow, and immediately I see a couple of little wiggles there as people hit the grass and try and get into the best position they can into the first corner. It dips away down the slope into the hairpin that is Druids, and that's where we saw a lot of action before. It looks like it's relatively clean as we go around. I'm seeing green flags waving, which is a good sign. Nobody getting punted off this time as they come swinging around the Graham Hill bend and then up the Cooper Straight, down into Surtees, and then down the long straight in towards Hawthorns.
Oh, Morera got, I wouldn't say pushed really, but he had to go into the grass.
Oh,
there.
Moreira spun. Moreira definitely got spun there. I didn't see what caught him. He looked like someone up the inside, but that is going to put Moreira down to, what, 16th position? 18th, actually, in the end there. So he has now got a mega job ahead of him. Oliveira Rodriguez has also made ground, obviously, because of that position, but he's also got, I think there's Michael Mourning, who we just saw, the American, up on the inside of him. He's delicately coming into that corner. Yeah, he was very tentative edging in that corner because he didn't want to risk it, and Oliveira Rodriguez drops a couple of positions.
Yeah, it's not how we want to get started in a 45-minute race, but we say that so often. There is still the pit stop. There's a lot of time on their hands, at least compared to the sprint race, where things could change. But look how everyone is so close right now. Oliveira Rodriguez, he wants to make a move quickly because he knows that Fidel Moreira is already out of this, kinda, at least for now. And that gives him a great chance to now go through, get those points in, and be the winner of the day. But for that, he still has to deliver it.
Well, I mean, we'll hopefully get the replay. Oh, Woodrow and Karnin trading places at the front start. Let's just have a quick look as they're dipping up the inside. Karnin and Woodrow once again trading for that first place. Karnin will be on the inside here as they're going towards Cooper's. So it looks like it will be. Let's have a quick look at the replay. So Moreira is the purple car on the outside there. So he's turning in. I think is that Oliveira Rodriguez?
I will put
I
it on.
think that is.
I will put it on Fidel Moreira in this case. I think.
He
obviously
turned in.
only see one replay, but I will put that on Fidel Moreira. I think he closed the door there.
Yeah, I think that, and I think it was Oliveira Rodriguez as well, but yeah, I think Moreira turned in. Negrini and Oliveira Rodriguez now fighting it out, as Negrini looks like he will regain the place at 7th position. So we'll see whether, I don't think there's going to be penalties for that, I don't think so. Speaking of penalties, what's going on there? Vinny Oliveira and Ryan Woodrow have connected. Something has happened there. They are both tumbled down. Woodrow was in 2nd position, now down to 11th and falling. Vinny Oliveira also was up there and he's fallen down. He was 3rd place to 8th, so clearly 2nd and 3rd contacted with each other and they have both tumbled down the places.
That really pays off now for everyone else around them, obviously. Ryan Woodrow, you said it, in 11th, definitely not where I want to be, and Diego Karnin now has a lot of breathing space around him. I mean, look at that. There is Roberto behind, then it's McKean, Berticelli, Rodeo, then Oliveira. Oh no, then Negrini actually, then De Oliveira Rodriguez. So De Oliveira Rodriguez only won 2 spots so far, but with Moreira being 15th, that's still very likely for him to be on top of the leaderboard coming out of this day. But that might be a bit early to say that because we've still got 41 minutes to go. We're just 4 minutes into this race. So much action happened already.
Well, I'm looking at Roberto and Josh McKean here. Josh McKean's been prevalent in every race so far, hasn't he? So chance for him to try and maximise his point gain now, as we were talking about. Eddie Riley, he's battling out. That is Moreira coming up the inside. He's working his way back through the field, as we expected he will do. Up to 14th now. He was knocked down to, I think it was 18th at one point after that spin. So he is looking to try and maximise and gain as many points back as he can.
Still a wet out there, and it's at least not increasing this time, so it's a bit nicer to our drivers than the previous race, although I heard that we get another replay. Did not catch though what this is all about.
It's second and third. It was the two that contacted. So
Oh,
Oliveira contacting.
Let's see, that's Woodrow probably being...
Man, you can't see a thing, can you?
Yes, this is crazy, like a water spray that he has to go through. Oh, that's not Woodrow. Woodrow's in front of him.
Yeah, Woodrow's in front. This is Oliveira hitting him
Yeah.
in the back. Yeah, but yeah. So he hits Woodrow in the back.
Too bad. Things like that can happen. I mean, you saw how crazy it is out there right now with the weather that we have, and how hard it is to see a car. So on one side, yep, blame him. On the other side, can't really blame him.
Josh McKean still hot on the heels of second position. And we were talking about the spray, the conditions. It is pretty tricky out there right now. Full wet track, and the rain is going to stay this way for the next 30 minutes. So the entirety of the race really is going to stay as wet as is. And, oh man, that is tricky. That is tricky on the corners like this. I mean, this is second and third. They're quite clear of everyone else. When you're further back in the pack, it's going to get much worse than this. So yeah, I can understand, you know, sometimes bumps are going to happen.
Yeah, it's like I said, at least the weather this time stays constant, kinda. So you can get a feel for how much grip there is. Was it Calvo with a little mistake there?
No, it's Calvin Baumann and Moreira have all passed Ari Hardson there. So Ari Hardson made a bit of a wide move. Michael Moening and Oliveira. Oliveira looks like he's going to regain 7th position, trying to work his way back up there, but I expect a 15-second penalty to be coming his way.
I was just looking for Moreira. He's still there, 30. Okay. Fine, let's see what he can do with that, because he should have had the pace to get back into the top 10. And maybe it'll work with a few pit stops. We had very early pit stops last race. 10 minutes into the race in Laguna Seca, we saw the first one. Hardison, by the way, comes in. Junior comes in. So that's already 2. Fidel Moreira trying to go through for 12. And he did so on the pedal bend, but I'm not quite sure. Did he lean onto the other car to make it there?
Very close.
I
I don't think so. It was very close though. I was expecting him to see him a car launched off the corner there, but they managed to both hang on the track, but it was certainly getting very close. Moreira though looking to get himself past, and he has. That's Calvo that he should be going around the outside of. Another contact as he turns in. That's where he was sent off the track before, so he's got to be careful of that. So we are trying to leave as much space as he can, but I think he turned in once again.
Sure.
That's lost him a bunch of places again though. He will keep ahead, and he will just keep ahead of Calvo. But yeah, that's Eddie Riley that's behind him as well. Eddie Riley back at the front. It is slowly closing in on Karnin. So Karnin was I think it was 2-3 seconds ahead at one point, but Roberto and McKean both catching. Ryan Woodrow off the track again. Didn't see what happened, but he's back down in 10th. Obviously, he was connected earlier on by Oliveira, Vinny Oliveira, that is. Roberto with another fastest lap. This is impressive. To put fastest laps in, when you're under pressure, like Josh McKean's been on the back of him, you know, the best way to answer is to put a fastest lap on. Now, they are on the back of the leader. Karnin under pressure for the second time in this race. First time, it was Ryan Woodrow. Now, it is going to be Roberto and McKean, 2 drivers that were in the top 5 in the last 2 races. This is going to be tough for him.
Always the big question, like, is it great to be Roberto and end up being right behind Karnin? Because let's be honest, if McKean closes the gap, then Karnin will always concentrate on Roberto in terms of defending, and that opens a lot of possibilities for McKean. Well, talking about possibilities, that's Max Baumann versus, is it Moreira again? Yeah, it is. is struggling. Does he maybe have a lot of damage on the car? That costs some pace here? Or is it just like the track in general?
I think they're just making mistakes on corners because the pure wetness and obviously the tight close conditioning as well. They're all over the place at the moment. Roberto put in the pressure on Karnin. Karnin started in pole position after an 8th place finish in the sprint race. The reverse grid puts him in that position. Josh McKean himself, he's had a 2nd and 3rd finish already, I think, today. So he is looking to maximize his points with Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez down in 5th place currently, with Moreira down in 11th place. This is a real chance for Josh McKean to maybe get himself as the points winner for the day.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think de Oliveira Rodriguez should still be the strongest scorer right now, at least. But yeah, it's like if McKean gets both now, snacks them away, and runs away with the lead, then all of this could change quite quickly. But before that, he has to make it past Karnin, and well, we saw that Woodrow wasn't able to do that. And Roberto so far also did not manage to really have a proper attack here on Karnin. So this might cost them way more time than expected, although there was an opening and the camera just cut away from the battle there. Oh, camera, stay where we need you.
Look, auto director knew that it's just like, nah, it's not gonna happen. Woof.
Is auto director predicting it so well though? Does auto director know that this was not happening? Look at Karnin, he is under a ton of pressure. McKean was able to close the gap again. Roberto is basically part of the exhaust system and kind of build into the rear bumper with how close he is. So,
I mean, in fairness to Karnin, like his fastest lap is only like 0.1 off what Roberto has done. So while Roberto is holding the fastest lap at the moment, Karnin has been putting times in. Ooh, a little off track there. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. Doesn't work that well so much in Assetto Corsa. You are going to certainly lose a bit of time if you go on the grass, just like he did there. But he is going to put Roberto, and look at Josh McKean behind, just sat waiting for his prey to see if he can get a moment, just like Moreira did. If you think back to Laguna Seca when 1st and 2nd battled out, he swept through on the corner and took that 1st place.
Yeah, sometimes you can be very lucky with what happens in front of you. And it seems like Karnin got at least a bit of breathing room once again, especially now with McKean having the first outside look on Roberto. Maybe that lets Karnin run away.
That's Roberto gone wide. Roberto went right there. McKean's through. That was definitely a wide run into Cooper, and that's going to give Karnin a little bit of a breather. But now he's got McKean chasing.
I wonder how long McKean takes now to close that gap to Karnin, if he's able to do it at all. Herrera, by the way, up to 11th, so him and Woodrow are now the next couple to fight there.
Putting in the fastest lap as well. Just a sort of a statement, I'm coming.
Very surprising to me that de Oliveira Rodriguez did not make a move yet on Botticelli Rodeo. Seems like the pace there that the top 5 have is really good.
Cameron losing track of them. Come on, mate, you're getting paid for this. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely on him. He's definitely putting the pressure on him. There's no doubt about it. But sometimes when you're this close, he can actually be worse off. It's better off coming from a bit further back. And as you say, he's got the pace. Maybe he's going to have a little go, look up the inside here. And he makes the move stick. He heard you.
Yeah, he knows that time will run out for him as well at one point. So better get going now. Well, there's still half an hour. And soon-ish, we might see the next wave of the pit stops, I would say. That's the first chance now to see is like undercut, overcut. What do I want to go for, and how can I treat the tires right now? And with de Oliveira Rodriguez now up to 4th, I think he puts himself in a good spot. 3.7 seconds still to a podium spot. With Roberto, who just did that mistake against McKean. So that's all McKean slipping through. But I think that this will now be set, at least for a while, unless Karnin now has to give way to McKean, because McKean really closed the gap quick.
Yeah, he's right on the back of him. Quarter. Oh, who was that just got off? That is Max Baumann, I believe, off the circuit there. So that's he was running in 12th. So whether there's been contact from Calvo, I don't know. But either way, that has knocked him off the circuit. Back to the front runners. Josh McKean still keeping that pressure on. Had 2nd place in the sprint race, had 3rd place, no, actually to lie, he had 2nd place in the main race at Laguna Seca as well, So in terms of points, he is looking to maximize here. Oh, that's a mistake from Karnin. He has gone way off the track, thinking he is going to be trying to save his tyres. That's not going to work out in Assetto Corsa, and that puts Josh McKean in the lead.
And McKean will be super happy about that. We talked about it. This could mean being the driver of the day, scoring the most here. Even though De Oliveira Rodriguez, he won a few positions by now. Well, let's see what's the difference we're talking about. We're talking 25 points, obviously, for the race win. That's one thing. But what's the difference between fourth? So fourth gets 12 points. That would be what Rodriguez is in now. That's a huge difference already. That's 13 points.
Yeah, it's a big difference. There's no doubt about it. It would put Josh McKean, I think, as driver of the day, because he did very well on Laguna Seca as well. So, real chance here to maximise. He's still under pressure from Karnin. Karnin just made that mistake to let him through. Further back, let's have a look. This is Gustavo Camilo with Ryan Woodrow going through. Ryan Woodrow passing him like it was easy, to be honest. Just went up the inside. They didn't even fight for that one.
Oh, how they come out of the spray there. That looks so crazy. Gustavo Camilo defending here. No, trying to attack Negrini. But it isn't Negrini's car, is it?
No, it was Woodrow. Woodrow passed him.
Oh, yeah, Woodrow went by. Once
you're
again, looked at the old overlay. It was like, not gonna happen.
Don't trust the old overlays. Don't trust the in-game telegraph. It's not always right. A fastest lap comes out from De Oliveira Rodriguez. So once he got past Rodeo, it does seem that he's actually starting to put the pace in now in the wet. We know he's fast in the wet. So the question is, can he chase down Roberto? Obviously 30 minutes to do, so plenty of time to get it done. And obviously pit stops in there. The biggest question is, as I was about to say, how are the pit stops going to work out the undercuts? Moreira has made his stop already. So he's come out having to make the pit stop already. So he's gambling on the fact that going for the undercut, a long undercut at that, and just trying to put his times in. He's got clear air, it seems, in front of him. We know he can put for some very fast times in. Renan Negrini going in the pits as well. So Negrini now coming in.
Yeah, I really want to see if Moreira wins a ton of spots with that. What was he at? Like 10th, 11th, I think, when he pitted. Josh McKean might just stay out a while because he has clean track, nothing to worry about. Karnin is already down by over a second. There's another second to Roberto. So De Oliveira Rodriguez, he gained a tiny bit on Roberto, but I think that was due to the fights that they had previously. So if it would be Josh McKean, I'll just stay out there right now and see if anything changes. He will not be happy. It's like such a good first race in Laguna Seca. And
oh, apologies, I was muted. What I was saying was Moreira had contact with Calvo. Apologies.
I just think, like, for Moreira, it was all downhill from the first Laguna Seca race onwards. Kinda. Even though it might not have looked like it, but comparing to all of the other drivers that race for the daily win here, which is McKean and De Oliveira Rodriguez, they all were much more stable and had less trouble also across the race that we had. So who came in there? That's Berticelli Rodeo, another interesting driver that kind of sneaked into the top positions in the ranking. We'll see if he can get a few more points here and there. Because then, like with oh, did he leave? Did Moreira leave? No, he's still 17th. With Moreira getting like 1 or 2 points, there is a chance for someone like Berticelli Rodeo to really gain massively.
Look at this. Oliver Rodrigo, he's on the back of Roberto. He has caught up the front three. So once he got past Rodeo, he has put the pace in. That is for certain. And he's managed to actually catch up this front three now. So, I mean, while Josh McKean has built himself a bit of a gap now, and almost a 3-second gap over Karnin, he has been pulling in the laps. I'm still surprised, by the way, that we didn't have a 15-second penalty earlier on from, it was, who punted Woodrow off the circuit? It was Oliveira, wasn't it? It was Oliveira.
Yep.
Yeah, Vinny Oliveira, who looks like he's left the circle. Oh no, this fifth. He's fifth. I'm amazed. I'm going to look up the rulebook and see if he actually got a warning or anything for it.
Yeah, have a quick look at that. But someone went really wide. That was Roberto going very wide, bringing everyone else in. De Oliveira Rodriguez, by the way, now also in the pit. So I would say the story of this race will be McKean versus De Oliveira Rodriguez. Both have the chance to be driver of the day, as in like being the winning driver of this weekend for their region. McKean obviously in the better position. He is trailing by points coming into the Brands Hatch race, but he's currently in control of the race, leading. So that's it's a very good position to be in. Let's be real. And De Oliveira Rodriguez, he has 2 wins to his name already, but might not make enough points to be the winner of the weekend, which would really hurt. I mean, that's a big blow. Wardrona up to 6th. He will be happy. So I just heard from race control, De Oliveira Rodriguez would need to be in P2 with McKean winning to...
Alright, yeah,
oh, he just got a 15-second penalty.
Yeah, so this is from... Okay, so I'm seeing the penalties now. So the 15-second penalty, that's come with contact with the rear of number 5, which was when he contacted with Moreira. So he actually got penalised for that contact. We thought Moreira pulled in himself. We both did. We thought it was Moreira that turned in. So that's gone in there. There will be a 15-second penalty for Oliveira as well. Vinny Oliveira. So he is going to be getting a 15-second penalty. That was for the contact with Ryan Woodrow, as we suspected.
I would love to see the Moreira versus De Oliveira Rodriguez again.
Yeah, I mean, we both thought it was Moreira turning in.
Yes, that's what I saw there. This is a big game changer. Because that would mean McKean, as long as he brings it home,
yeah.
he will be the winner of the weekend. Kind of destroying my story arc that I was just...
Yeah, that is a massive penalty coming in. Obviously 15 seconds, we'll see how much he builds into and where it drops him, because there was quite a gap forming of the top 4 already, so maybe it won't impact him as much as you see, but it's certainly impacted Moreira. Moreira's race has been ruined.
Yeah, I said, I really want to see that. I want to see how we got there. 50 seconds on De Oliveira Rodriguez. Race control is like, yep, working on that. That's great. Appreciate that. That's really, it defines this weekend. I was like, McKean will have this. 23 minutes. He still has to pit, obviously.
Well,
yes.
Carlin just pulled in, didn't he? Carlin pulled into pits there?
Yep.
I think he did, yep.
Not yet shown on the overlay, though. But yeah, there he is. In the pits. Which means McKean now with a gap of nearly 5.5 seconds to the next car. Something he can work with for the last 22 minutes of the weekend.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, though. Look at the gaps in the top 4. Like 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds Roberto to McKean. Like 5.5 seconds Oliveira to Roberto. 6.8 Moaning to Oliveira. So actually, when you think about De Oliveira Rodriguez, he's going to fall into sort of like that, currently ahead of Oliveira. Oliveira is due to get a 15-second penalty as well. I don't think that penalty is going to hurt him that badly.
Not sure. I know what you mean regarding like how he fits in there, but then afterward, it's a lot closer.
Well, let's see where Carnin is. So Carnin's about to come in.
So we get another replay, so I have to zoom out.
So here's Oliveira Rodriguez. 1 second, he's coming out. Where's Carnin come out? So Carnin's just ahead of him. Just ahead of him. There you go. So you see Oliveira Rodriguez in the background. So I think he's going to catch up with Carnin there. Yeah, so here's the replay. So it's the turn.
But that's Moreira turning in.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
There's nowhere he could go. He was on the
curb.
On the curbs, though. It's curbstone. That's what I was saying. Yeah. There's absolutely no way he could go there. I think Moreira may. De Oliveira might actually dispute that one after the race.
I could see that happening. I think it should, to be honest. I mean, we're only commentators. We're not race control. If they say It is what it is, like the marshals out there that take care of this each and every day. I get that, but from looking at this, I would solely put that on Morera.
Yeah, where's he going to go? Yeah, his car was there.
Yes, like Morera came from the outside, he messed up, then still tried to get back onto the ideal line, where De Oliveira Rodriguez was already, where you can't do anything, and you couldn't be any closer, nor can you put like onto him that he should brake, because you saw how like they were the same level when they touched.
So, lots of pit stops. Here we go. So, Woodrow, Camilo, Clifford, Riley, all in the pits at the moment. Oliveira will be getting his 15-second penalty as well when he comes in. That was for the incident with Ryan Woodrow earlier on. Josh McKean is setting a new fastest lap, just a slightly quicker than Rodrigo did. So, using that empty track that he has ahead of him in fantastic style, exactly what he needs to do, and he's actually stretched the lead. It was 5 seconds, look at it, 7 seconds now to Roberto, so he is really piling on the laps, making sure this overcut's going to work out for him. Well, Karin, speaking of, who is that turn there? That is a blue and yellow, that is Negrini. Negrini spun again.
Yeah, Negrini, as I said, he was struggling here and there. We saw that. He had incidents, he had accidents, and spuns. So, not the perfect weekend for him.
Right, in front of Morera there, yeah.
Talking about not perfect weekends, I think Fidel Morera might be the best example for that. Now behind Eli Riley. Let's see if he can take down Riley fairly quickly. McKean, Roberto, Oliveira, Moning, these are the only ones that didn't pit. Well, I say that Oliveira and Moning just came in. So McKean and Roberto will be the only ones that's still on an old set of tyres. De Oliveira Rodriguez, 3.9 seconds of Carmen. So not really in striking distance just yet. Both over the grass. Fidel Morera, a bit shaky down there. Nothing happened though, that was lucky. I'm still surprised.
Yeah. Me too. Oh, he's gone well wide there, Riley. So that's going to be Moreira through up to 13th. It should be. If he gets the corner. Yes, he gets. There you go. So, off he goes, starting to trundle up the points as much as he can. Rodeo up behind Vinny Oliveira there. So he's on the heels of him. Let's have a look at a replay. Josh McKean in the pits, by the way.
Yeah, the replay of the green, let's see. Comes around off water. Look at that, puddles forming and stuff like that, reflections everywhere. A bit too hot in it. Yep, and then you obviously get the loose rear here coming over the crest. The rear gets super light, and that was just a bit too much turning angle to make it down there in these conditions.
It's such a tricky corner because as we get Gustavo Rodriguez doing similar as he goes wide. It's such a tricky corner because it sort of dips away and the track sort of angles away from you. So if you're off the racing line or off the ideal line, the puddles will be there and you'll just lose the back end so easily. Oh, Michael Moning well out of position there. Dave Jr. just blasting past him.
Yeah, that looked really slow. I guess something happened there. Must have happened.
Yeah. Okay, McKean out the pits. Roberto is in the pits. Carnahan is going to pass. So Carnahan passed Felipe Roberto. Roberto just coming out the pits now. So Carnahan will regain second position. There is the 15-second penalty for Oliveira, as I was talking about. And obviously to Oliveira Rodriguez with his 15-second penalty. So Rodeo is the one that's really going to gain from this. But look at the gap. It's an 8.5 seconds to Dave Jr. after that. So yes, it's going to fall him back, but I don't think he's going to fall that far.
No, it should be fine, but still, you don't want to lose any of those.
Well, it's a penalty that we feel that shouldn't be there, but I guess we'll see what happens when it shakes out after the race.
Still,
Josh McKean's got a 5-second gap over Carney now, so that's how that shakes out too. It remains, it was 7 seconds, wasn't it, of Roberto, which actually remains about the same. Eri Riley still under pressure. That's Negrini actually, who's obviously spun it a moment ago, so I don't think that pressure's going to sustain. Negrini though, if you remember, didn't he start on pole? No, it wasn't Negrini. He started on pole on the last race actually.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was Carlin that started on pole this race.
Yep, he did, and so far he's looking good with second position. Eric Riley trying to defend of Negrini. The blue and red, I want to say blue and black. Huracán Super Trofeo EVO2 in the background. It is still wet out there, but so constant this time. Look at that. It's like no changes in the weather, in the rain density.
Welcome to England.
Yes. England just turns rain on. There's nothing in between.
Hey, they had 39 degrees centigrade there, didn't they? That was the hottest on record.
Was it?
Yeah.
You guys getting your own Palma de Mallorca? Don't have to fly there anymore.
We only got, what did we get here? We had 37, I think, or 38, I think, here in Cologne. Horrible.
I like it. I'm fine with it.
You do? Oh,
really.
Give me the cool weather any day. Any day. If I had air conditioning, I'd be all over it. But yeah, no, without air conditioning, no, thank you. Oh, that looked like contact. De Oliveira Rodriguez. That's is that Roberto? Is he just past Roberto? Yes, he has. He's just past Roberto. He's just got into third position. Oh, we're going to need to have a look back at that one. I completely missed it.
Yeah, that's a proper move now. Getting into the podium for De Oliveira Rodriguez. I said even with the option maybe to not get the 15-second penalty. So I think there is a fair chance for that. This could be big now. We said McKean, if he wins, all fine until De Oliveira Rodriguez becomes second. As soon as that happens, and he would really score those points, De Oliveira Rodriguez will be the winner of the weekend, and McKean will be second. Saying for now, like, McKean only losing the position there if he's really like creating one mistake after another. 6 seconds of a gap between him and Karnin. And besides like a crash or anything, there's no pit stop anymore that could change this around. So it has to happen on track.
Well, Karnin has them closing in on him, doesn't he? He's the man that's up the road now, and you can see how close they're getting. Just 2 second that gap to Oliveira Rodriguez, but he is putting in the pace laps. He is gaining on them as much as he can. Michael Mooney's got Ryan Woodrow up behind him. Ryan Woodrow, could have been a much better day for him, wasn't it? He was challenging out for first place at one point, and then got stuck in the rear by Vinny Oliveira, and now finds himself battling for 8th position instead.
Ryan Woodrow probably was expecting a bit more, I'd say, from this 45-minute race. Was stuck there a bit in the grass. Once again, ran too wide, and it's hard to get the car back onto the tarmac. It's kind of stuck in there, in that grass. You saw that. So clinches onto it and then gets pulled into that direction. Luckily, he made it back onto the asphalt. We're still on board rear view camera on Michael Moaning, looking at Ryan Woodrow. But Ryan, for now at least, 0.8, not in striking distance. Bigger cut by Moaning than what we see Woodrow doing.
I'd love to be able to get onboard tyre temps and stuff to see what it is. Obviously, with the track temperature, it's pretty cold, really. 13 degrees C, track temperature 17. Because you're normally looking at tyres to be around 31, I think it is, isn't it? You kind of want these at. So I'd be very interested to see what they're actually managing to keep the tyres up. Because I'm seeing a couple of these guys really struggling in some of these corners now.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like I have a feeling it's a bit better than the sprint race. We saw people sliding around, or if you look at Laguna Seca, in the feature race, people sliding through the last turn or even the pits. But it's just such a complicated track when it comes to this. You drop off one tire somewhere, since most of these corners are quite quick. You lose the back end immediately. Car's gone. All your hopes for the race out of them.
Tell you what, De Oliveira Rodriguez is moving. He has gained 0.7 already on Karnin, so we'll keep our eyes on that. It looks like he's closing in on that second position. Jonathan Clifford, well, he was going to be hoping his race was a bit different, wasn't it? He got punted off in the sprint race, which sent him further down, battling for 5th place in Laguna Seca, but now he is trying to fight his way up into 11th spot with Ari Harrison just ahead of him. Harrison also got sent off earlier on as well, so both these drivers having a bit of a miserable time here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, probably after this, not their favourite racetrack. But it is what it is. We'll have to go through that one, and I have to say, Brands Hatch always a very interesting track to watch or to drive. And so far, it's a very good one for this young man, 17-year-old Josh McKean, still in the lead of the race. Had to fight for this, though.
He's pumping in laps as well. I mean, last lap 32.3, fastest lap is a 32.1. So he's really pumping in the laps compared to, what, 32.6 and a 32.3 from behind him. So he is really putting the laps in. Actually, speaking of, you can see it's 0.3 quicker once again for Rodriguez over Karnin. So he's really gaining there. Michael Mooney, we've seen him having a couple of off-track excursions. Ryan Woodrow still trying to keep on the heels of him, but doesn't seem to be gaining any ground.
Yeah, not that much at least. Not really visible, feelable, kinda. In the current race, there's still Ryan Woodrow in the background. Hardison, we had him on the screen a few times. Same for Clifford. Clifford, I think, the one involved in most of the action across both tracks. At least I would think that.
Not the action he wanted from the first race.
Yeah, that's another one.
Getting sent spiralling in turn 2.
I think he did a good job. He had his highlight maneuvers. Absolutely loved them. Now only fighting for 11th, 12th. A bit quicker than that, I would say.
He's coming, Karnin, he's coming. Down to 0.6, and he is reining him in. This was 2 seconds, 3 laps ago. So, Igor on the charge. Oliver Rodriguez, the winner at Laguna Seca from start to finish. The winner of the sprint race here at Brands Hatch. And looking to try and close in on second position here. And, well, almost certainly he's going to take it soon enough, I think, over Karnin.
I'm still trying to consider how McKean has more points. Oliver Rodriguez won 2 races with 16 and 25. Plus he had pole positions twice.
Well, McKean was second in all 3, wasn't he, so far?
Was he?
I think so.
Yeah, but that's still 2 race wins for Oliver Rodriguez.
Oh, he's up the
plus
inside.
Pole positions.
He's up the inside. Yeah, he's going to stick this as well. He'll have that. He's going to have to slow it down a bit more in the corner because he's got to be careful you don't run wide because it's very easy to run wide on the grass there. Yeah, and that's why Karnin's sort of cut back in. Yeah, it's got to be very careful on that corner, which is why you had to respect it. But when you have the inside, it can cost you. Camera, come on, keep up with it.
Yeah, not that much at least.
Bouncing around, and that may well be. Did he connect with him? He's certainly let him have the position back, but that's brought for Roberto right back into it as well. Roberto looking up the outside of Oliveira Rodriguez to see if he can get involved now.
Yeah, not what they wanted. I wonder if Karnin just quickly tapped the brakes while the Oliveira Rodriguez was capable of doing that. Just one go, not having to brake again. And then connected the rear probably of Karnin, sent him wide, but he was waiting. None of them lost this position yet. So this might be without a penalty.
Yeah, he gave the place back, right? He allowed him to have it back now, so certainly I don't think there's any penalty involved there, but I think for Oliveira Rodriguez, we know he's got the pace, we know he can put it in there, but that's brought Roberto right back into the fight. Vinny Oliveira as well, also in with a chance of the fight there, so it's brought this pack, and this is all just wonderful for Josh McKean. Josh McKean's just like, yeah, see you guys, I am gone. He is clearing away right now, almost a 14-second lead over the pack.
Yeah, he deserves that so far. Great performance, great showcase of skill and pure lap times as well. But he also fought for this position, so he showed overtaking a driver that would deserve driver of the day. But I said, looking at 2 wins of De Oliveira Rodriguez, seeing him not taking it after back-to-back wins, it's heartbreaking.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just gonna be a bit more patient, I think, here when he gets this chance again. So Oliver Rodriguez just going to be a bit more patient with it. Ryan Woodrow, he's finally got it done. He's got past Michael Mooney, who has been stuck behind for around about 10 laps to the point that I'd stopped Auto Director taking us back to that fight because he just didn't seem to be making the move. So I just gave up on it because I wanted to see what was going on here with Igor Oliveira Rodriguez. What's happened to Roberto? Where's he gone? He's fell right back. He was right on their heels a second ago. He's fallen right off them 2 seconds away. He's got to have made a mistake because now Vinny Oliveira's all over his back end.
Yes, something must have happened because it changed too much in terms of timings here. And so late in the race, 6.5 minutes now. Nerves are kind of running at the end, I would say. It's not easy. Also, keep in mind, these guys had 4 races now in the wet, which definitely costs way more concentration than dry races.
Yeah, absolutely. You can still see it's pretty treacherous, really treacherous out there. You know, you're looking for those standing puddles. You just got to hope that you don't hit it quite right, or if you do hit it, you got to hit it in the right way so you can go over it, and maybe a little bit of aquaplane, but you can sort of keep control of the car and make sure you hit those braking points. That's the hardest part, making sure you're on the braking point in the right place here. Don't take too much curb. Maybe that curb on the inside is just a little bit slippier than the last one, and suddenly you might find your car going a bit sideways where you didn't expect it to. At the moment, no. You can see Igor trying to do his best. Maybe he's just consciously thinking, it's like, okay, maybe I need to back off a little bit here. Got a little too hot on it onto Carney, and maybe thinking with 5 minutes left, maybe I should just keep this 3rd position.
Yeah, it's like you want to bring those points home now. It's a different format to last time. So, points are important. And risking everything here might... You could still end up without points. I mean, not quite 2. You will end up with 1 point. But that's a huge difference to top 5, top 8 finishes.
Yeah, we still don't know whether this penalty is going to hold ground or not. We certainly don't think it should, but we're just commentators, as I say. We're not race directors or anything like that, so it's down to those guys, the guys that know what to decide on that. But as it were, you know, it's still going to knock it down to sort of maybe about 7th actually at this rate, because of how this has been playing out. The pack's actually caught up a little bit here. Rodeo is certainly gaining ground on Oliveira as well. You can see them all behind. Obviously Oliveira carrying that penalty as well, the 15-second penalty for the connection with Ryan Woodrow earlier on. That would be sweet for Ryan Woodrow, because at the moment he's actually close to finishing ahead of Oliveira, which I think would be justice.
But we're not done yet. The last 4 minutes of today's last race here at Brands Hatch. Lamborghini The Real Race Season 3 by now. Isn't that the case? First one was Niels Nago's one. Second was Jordan Sherrin. That's Season 3 by now. So it's a long-lasting esports racing championship. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the format's so much better as well this season. You know, competitors seem to be stronger from year on year on. It seems to just be getting better and better, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And the race that we had so far, in the rain, in the dry, which was it was a thing back in the past. Not tonight though, since everything is in the wet. But all the drivers showcasing that they belong in such a championship, and they're all fighting for a share of 50,000 prize pool, 5,000 per region. Top 6 get it. It's like split among those top 6, and then there's still this big contract waiting for you. If you win Lamborghini The Real Race, you can become a driver of the Lamborghini eSports racing team, which is absolutely incredible. Professional level sim racing. We'll be racing in the SRO eSports series. That's what I expect. So that is your chance, really making it onto a big stage in sim racing and take the next step for your career there. And the only thing, quotations here, the only thing you have to do is get into this event and then come here for this Sunday adventure and then showcase that you got what it takes to be one of the top drivers for Lamborghini.
Carlin's doing a fantastic job of defending here, isn't he? 2 minutes to go, just equates to, well, we'll have a look, where is he? He's just gone over the line, so we're going to get 2 more laps. Basically, the penultimate lap now, as Carlin defends and tries to hold on to this second position. He may get the second position regardless of whether Oliveira Rodriguez passes him, but as it stands, he's going to want to win it outright. Started out in pole position, has done a fantastic job at defending throughout, has had many contenders, to be fair, to try and catch him out, but this time it seems Oliveira Rodriguez wants to make the move.
Yeah, can he though? Not much time. How many laps do they get? They get 1 more, I would assume. Where's McKinney? They'll definitely get. Might even get 2 more, to be honest.
Yeah, they'll have one more lap after this, definitely.
No, they could have gotten another one. Oh no, McKean's not. No, McKean's not far enough. Yeah. I thought McKean might make it.
No, definitely not.
But there's 1:32 in his best lap. Yep, not gonna happen. So one more for De Oliveira Rodriguez. It's one more down the paddock then. One more into the 180-degree hairpin. That will be a great opportunity to go through. By the way, drive-through penalty for Rodriguez. Calvo is also in the pit. Right, something happened there. But let's concentrate on this one.
Yeah.
I'm tired. 18 laps ago.
Well, Vinny Oliveira's also been chasing, but it looks like he's backed off a bit now from what was the chase. Clifford's still on Hardison, by the way, still never got that move done with the gradient behind him, so that's just one of the chances they kept going. This is really the main chance at the moment, as whether De Oliveira Rodriguez is going to get this done on Karnin. I'm not so sure he is. Unless Karnin makes a mistake at the moment, he's been defending very well. I think he's just a little bit cautious of obviously the incident they had, very connected already. So it's looking like it may well not happen. Someone that has made it happen though is Josh McKean. What a fantastic race from him. A deserved winner, I think, here at Brands Hatch. He has had to fight for it. Obviously had 2 second places as well. I think maybe even 3 second places if I'm not mistaken. Has done brilliantly well throughout the day. So finally getting his just rewards, and we think he actually may end up being driver of the day. It's either him or De Oliveira Rodriguez. We'll see how the points shake out.
Yeah, I think it will be McKean now in the end. With looking at De Oliveira Rodriguez still only in third. So even without the 15-second penalty, if he's not making it past Karnin, there should be no chance unless we overlook the points for... I don't know how close it is, because they're the points for pole position, right? That you get for being the pole setter, getting into the sprint race. So there's a chance. But Josh McKean, 17-year-old from the US, crossing the line, winning here at Brands Hatch. An incredible run, incredible drive, fighting his way through the lead and then building on it lap after lap after lap. Second place will be Diego Karnin in front of De Oliveira Rodriguez after back-to-back wins in the feature race at Laguna Seca and a sprint win at Brands Hatch. Only third, but at least podium, I would say, so you can't really be mad about that. For him, Marcelo Berticelli de Rodeo, I think that's another of those drivers that had a good weekend. Driver that probably want to forget about this race, at least the Brands Hatch ones, is Fidel Morera, who probably goes over the line 15th. We would have expected way more from the driver that is the reigning champion of this region, and I think he expected also way more.
Yeah, after obviously the incident early on where he got spun, that set him down, and then he clearly had another incident later on where he was off the track, and I got to assume he's got damage on his car as well, because he really didn't make any moves after that once that happened. So obviously, probably not too happy with how it shook out in the day, especially how things started. But I don't think we could rule him out yet. I think we got a lot more to come from Moreira.
Yes, we're just at the first group stage, right? In terms of points. So maybe just the tracks will be better for him next time around, or he's just a bit more lucky.
So we got the position. So De Oliveira Rodriguez moves down to 6th and Vinny Oliveira to 7th. Is where it shakes out after the penalties come through. So Karnin, obviously McKean, Karnin, Roberto top 3, Rodeo Jr. Moves Jr. up, Dave Jr. up to 5th place. Good on him.
Yeah, it definitely means Josh McKean will be our driver of the day. I hope he got webcam and everything ready for winner's interview. He will need that. But we'd still love to see the regarding points. Like, first of all, what's with the penalty of De Oliveira Rodriguez? Still think he should not get a 15-second penalty. Wonder if that might be looked into again if he wants that. And if that changes anything. Unfortunately, he didn't come second. So would that change our driver of the day? Probably not.
No, yeah, you never know. I mean, if he'd have obviously 3rd place if that was the case. So maybe it would. I don't know. The points are pretty close. I think they're pretty close.
Yeah, but we'll see them soon. Obviously, now everyone in the background like working.
Yeah, it takes a bit of work. This does.
Trying to get us the points. So we'll obviously bring them up to your screen as soon as we can. So don't worry, it will happen. And we'll also have the winners interview here right from the drivers themselves, how the race weekend was for them, and maybe we overlooked something and they give us a cool insight that we did not have yet. And then we will have a look at the schedule and what's to come in the near future, because there are way more races. We're not done yet. The real race 2022 still ongoing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some fantastic races. Let's have a look at obviously some of the action from that race, because there was so many incidents. The start itself, obviously, it was a bit cleaner. The main race, obviously, we had a dodgy start in the first one. The main race, it seemed cleaner. We didn't see too many actions. Obviously, Moreira did get caught in the side or turned in, whichever way you look at it.
Definitely is. But the start was clean once again, and we have to give it to the drivers here. The 4 starts that we saw were all great. Yep, there was one crash in the second start at Brands Hatch, so the feature race started down the paddock bend. Someone spun around. I think it was not Negrini, the other blue and black car. Jonathan, I think it was. Let's see where we get this time. Whoops, a bit of nudging everywhere. This is Fidel Moreira's car, so ring champion, and then
so he's on. Oh, I don't know. Okay. Oh, this is not. Is this corner here, right? So yeah, here's Moreira. So
he comes back in. He comes back in, and then just cuts off De Oliveira Rodriguez.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Like, Rodriguez is holding the curb. He's like holding the inside line, and then he just turns in. I just don't think he saw him come in.
The only thing I saw there, I was wondering if that was the replay now, or was there a little twitch from De Oliveira Rodriguez? But he has no reason to straighten the car there, unless he also loses the back end.
Yeah,
it will be a hard one to judge. I want to see the marshals getting into that once again, but normally it's quite clear. On board with probably
Josh McKean,
our driver of the day. Yeah, Josh McKean. Look at all that water spray. What he had to get through, to be honest, to make it to the top spot.
Yeah, that was Felipe ahead of him, wasn't it? Felipe and Kanin that were fighting for first place at the time. And oh my god, yeah, it's treacherous. It always amazes me as Sim Racer, like I get scared when I'm this close, racing this close in the wet, when you can see like this. That is just heart in your mouth conditions, hoping that nobody makes a mistake, because you can't react quick enough. If somebody makes a mistake ahead of you, you're going to hit them.
Yeah, that's true, but it makes racing so incredible, right? Seeing these guys really being on the edge, showcasing the difference between like casual sim races, right, and the ones that actually qualify for such events, and why they belong here. Talking about standings and why people belong here, let's look into that one. Standings of the race first. So we're talking Brands Hatch only, sprint and feature race. Josh McKean 37 points, Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez 25. Then we got 22 for Diego Carnin, and another 22 for Roberto, and another 22 for Botticelli Rodeo. That is interesting.
Only 10 for Moreira from there. Obviously did much better in Laguna Seca, so definitely a big hit. But De Oliveira Rodriguez, if you want to do on-air math, had 29 from the first race, so obviously that makes him up to 54.
Yeah, not enough though.
Yeah, don't think so. I think Josh McKean's going to steal it. So the young lad, who's been so consistent in fairness today, has been consistently up there. If you think back to the first race, he had to fight off Moreira for a large portion of it. Obviously he was fighting for first place there, was fighting in the sprint race constantly for position. So he's been involved in a lot of action today, either defending or overtaking. He's been there.
Yeah, he's deserving points, that's for sure. And we should stop guessing who might be at the front, who isn't. Let's bring up the overall points list from this race weekend. Brands Hatch and Laguna Seca, 4 races in total, and Josh McKean 63 points in front of Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez 54, 41 for Fidel Moreira, still in third. Very strong, I'd say, by Fidel Moreira. Good on him. And then Felipe Roberto on 439, and Marcelo Botticelli Rodeo still made the top 5 in front of Ryan Woodrow.
Yeah, it's a decent lead in the first week of races for the Nala region, so good on Josh McKean. Like I say, consistency paying off there, so he does finally get his win in the last race. Obviously, Igor winning both Laguna Seca main race and the sprint race obviously keeps him in that second position. Moreira only picking up 10 points here at Brands Hatch. That's cost him, obviously slipped away on the point scale, but this is still wide open, obviously, with the next set of races happening in September.
Yeah, there will be more races. We talked about that. It's a long series now. Drivers have to deliver on different tracks. And in case that, I was thinking about throwing it into the schedule, but then I heard like interview in 2 minutes. So we're not doing that. Not going to the schedule right now. Instead, Lee, we will soon talk to Josh McKean, 17 years old. So probably more successful than when I was 17 as a citizen. I'm just trying to come up.
So I love the fact you had to think about it.
Yes, because I was wondering when I entered Pro Series, but Pro Series back then was German only, because like we weren't as far yet to have like so many
technology wasn't quite there,
events and stuff like that. So even that, he does way better than me because he does an entire region with different countries, and I only did one country. So.
Yeah, it still amazes me. It still amazes me these days when you can. We have these competitions, and it's such international races these days compared to obviously back in the days. You'd have to have a German server, everybody in German, or actually for us Europeans, it'd generally be like, can we have a Dutch server, please? Because that's the fair balance for everyone.
All right, we are ready for our interview. The winner of the day, driver of the weekend, Josh McKean, after an incredible performance, bringing big points home every single race. There he is. Josh, congratulations for being driver of the weekend. Guys. And I hope that feels really good, because that was a lot of work, it seems.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me all right?
I do.
Hello? You can hear me? All right, great. Yeah, a bit unexpected. I definitely feel like I should have won maybe a couple more races, a few mistakes. But I mean, I sort of capitalized this weekend off the mistakes of others. So I suppose it's a win, but I think there's still a lot of improvement to be made. Just mistakes like the first race when I bumped into Negrini, that probably cost me a win as well, and me breaking a bit too late in the first race at Brands probably cost me a win as well, putting me quite far back from Igor. I feel I could have challenged him in that one as well. But yeah, I was super happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about earlier, you were involved in overtakes, you were involved with defending Moreira for a long time, actually, in Laguna Seca as well. So overall, your consistency has been amazing. Is that something you always work on in this? Obviously trying to make sure you're not involved in the incidents that have been happening around you, because there was a lot of them today.
I wasn't really consciously thinking, let me avoid the incidents. I think consistency has always been my strength, really, in the races. I tend to do a lot better in the races than I do in qualifying. And luckily today I could capitalize on that. Yeah, it was weird because I seem to find myself in fights quite a lot today, which is preferably where I'd rather not be. I don't want to really risk incidents like what happened in the first race. So, but luckily, other than the first race, no incidents, which is what I needed.
It worked quite well for you, that's for sure. And you said it, there were so many chances, at least in your eyes, to be further up the pack still. You won the weekend. That puts you in a great spot right now for the remainder of the season. What are you working on now? Like, what are you looking forward to in the next round on the next tracks?
I think my pace is all right. In the race, I think I could do a bit more fuel and tire management, get a bit more out of it. Definitely qualifying. I want to be qualifying on the front row every race in pole, even if I can. Just more preparation, really, I feel. Today I got a bit lucky. even though I feel I should have maybe won 1 or 2 more races today, definitely a lot of stuff I can improve on.
We had Giglioli on earlier on, and we were talking about who does he prefer to drive in the wet or the dry. He preferred the wet, which has obviously gone well to you. You got was it Sandfoot and Silverstone coming up, potentially wet races in the next races in September. What do you prefer?
I prefer the wet because it gives more variability. In the dry, you can practice as much as you want, and in general the conditions will be the same, the car will feel the same. But in the wet, every single session is going to be different. The dry line is going to be different. The puddles are going to be different, and so it allows variability where you can sort of be unique in your driving style and try to work things out, which is, I think, one of my strengths. So in general, I think I definitely prefer the wet over the dry, but I wouldn't mind either.
The drivers that like the variability of wet racing and the dynamic in it, I always appreciate that, because I think that makes sim racing even better, or racing in general. Josh, thank you so much for taking the time talking to us, and there's nothing more to say from our side other than congrats once again and good luck for the next races.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Bye. We're not saying bye just now. Instead, we actually want to know when's the next Lamborghini the Real Race. When can we see the next action in the 3 regions that we had? We had APAC, that's how we started, Asian Pacific region. Then we went over to EMEA, that was Suzuka and Mount Panorama. And today was Laguna Seca, Brands Hatch for all the drivers in the Nala region, which brings us to the next race, which is a bit further down the line.
Yeah, September, over to the Hungaroring and Misano, 2 fantastic tracks. All happening in September, so we hit the second stages of group stages for EMEA, APAC and Nala following Sunday, so it's easy to remember. When's it going to be? It's on Sunday is when it's going to be on. Then of course the Nürburgring and Zolder for the APAC region, and of course, as I just mentioned, Sandford and Silverstone for Nala in the 18th of September. It seems so far away right now.
Kinda does, that is true, but that also means that there's so much time for everyone out there getting involved with Lamborghini The Real Race. Check out the webpage, obviously, follow the social media channels, get in there, because we heard it already in the little special contact section. Lamborghini will be around for another season of SRO, and hopefully for another season of The Real Race, I would say. So if you want to follow your favorite supercar brand, then you should do that right now. Get involved with their esports program or the gaming program in general. We heard it as well. Asphalt 9 coming your way with something with Lamborghini in maybe other sim racing titles, right? So much possibilities still, and that means more possibilities for you out there to race with us.
Yeah, it's been fantastic so far. We've had fantastic races covering the 3 regions.
All right, thanks everyone for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.